person. So of course I'm Michael or Beard, as some of you may know me from my Twitch. I am a gaming streamer, but I have a huge passion for role-playing games and live-action role-playing games and all sorts of stuff like that. So why don't you go ahead, Angela, and introduce yourself, and then feel free to introduce your character name as well, and then we'll cue the next person.
I'm Angela, also known as Gangrel Kitty, also known as Sancocho Fresh. I don't know what to say. I like a lot of games. I like gaming. I like tabletop. You got a game, I got it. I want it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it. I hope you guys have a lot of fun.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hello, my name is Ryan, otherwise known as Voyce Ryleased. That's going to come up a bunch, I believe. I will be playing the character of Martin MacCalister. I've been playing role-playing games for 27 years now. Yeah, 27 years now. And new technology allowing me to play games with people in other people's houses, and I don't have to worry about meeting them once a week at their house. It's amazeballs. It's fucking cool.
Yeah.
What it is.
Yeah.
Oh, so really happy to see all of you here.
Mm-hmm.
Really intend on putting on a good show for you guys. At least I do. I know the rest of us have
Yeah.
But
Ryan's gonna carry on his back for the great show. That's the plan. You're just gonna carry us up the hill, Ryan. Carry us up.
He's the rock.
He's the rock. Yeah.
I do have broad shoulders.
I do want to just to interrupt for a second here. If you are seeing any delay, as I said, technical issues are still going on. So we will try to adjust and fix things as we can. But tonight, because of all the explosions of technology that took place, if there is any sort of delay or anything like that, we apologize for it right now. Sorry for stuff. We're gonna fine tune this machine and get it going. So even by next stream, you're gonna see smoother transitions, the technical issues kind of worked out and stuff. So just bear with us tonight, and hopefully you enjoy the content in the meantime. But let's move on. Go ahead, Doug. Why don't you introduce yourself, bud?
I'm Doug, also known as the Spoon Fun.
Yes.
No.
Yes, he is.
No. And I'm going to be playing Blinder. I've been doing LARP and tabletop all my life since wee child. I grew out of the womb with gaming books in my hand. But yeah.
I came out of the womb with gaming books in my. I love that. I did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I got dice later on.
Yeah.
I could play.
Yeah, dice are age appropriate,
yes.
So you got to wait for those.
Yes, of course. Go ahead, Xylus.
I am Xylus. I'll be playing the role of Carver Bouchier. And my other notable aliases are Xylus and Xylus.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to game, I like to draw, I like to do music. I like it all.
Awesome.
That's pretty much it.
Awesome. Welcome, of course, friends, to Blades in the Dark. I'm really excited for this, and I have a bit of an intro, because I know a lot of you have never played Blades in the Dark and aren't familiar with the world. So I am going to... One second here. Here are our character names. I'm going to very quickly do a brief intro, and a huge shout out to Ryan for his help with this. He's an amazing person studying voice acting, and so we were working on this. So let's just get this going, and we will transition into the game. Blades in the Dark is not a world of heroes and villains. It is a world of ambiguous morality, a world of action and consequence. It is a world not of darkness and light, but of the layers of gray in between. The world was beset by a cataclysm 1,000 years ago, shattering the barrier between life and death. Spirits have become restless, and creatures of our ancient nightmares once again roam the lands. The sun was darkened in the sky, shining light for only small portions of each day. The oceans turned inky black, and star-like lights appeared gleaming beneath its surface, no longer a reflection of the skies above. The constellations changed as well, no longer shining familiar to our eyes. As the years went on, people adapted to this new world through belief, faith, and superstition. In time, a great empire formed, the Akaros Empire, led by its immortal emperor. Science and technology advanced as well. One of the greatest discoveries was Sparkrite technology, a technology that provided the road to many conveniences. The first Sparkrites crafted great lightning barriers around the major cities. The large, master-crafted towers provided a shield from the roaming creatures and violent spirits who forever crave life energy from the living. In time, however, the Empire would realize that the very creatures the barriers had been created to keep out would become their greatest source of fuel. Leviathan blood, they would call it, the oil of the Empire. It is the processed ectoplasm of ghosts, monsters, and the creatures that haunt this world, the largest of which occupy the oceans. The Empire stretches from the Dagger Isles to Aruvia to the seat of power in Akaros itself, Duskwall, where our story takes place. Over the years, like all great cities and governments, Duskwall has become corrupt. So with that, I'm going to turn to Ryan. Ryan, as we spoke of briefly in the time between our previous scene, your character had experienced a loss. Someone very dear to him had been taken from him. Martin wasn't sure who it was or who was responsible, but it's been days hard at work, chasing down every lead, looking through every nook and cranny, fighting anyone he had to fight to try and find who it was that was responsible.
So many broken fingers.
Martin currently finds himself in an alleyway, the darkness of night having set in, rain slowly falling down over his head, his clothing, his hat, everything on his person is sopping wet with rain. Before him stands, in the bleak light of lanterns in the distance at either ends of this street corner and alleyway on both sides, he sees two shadowed figures, two figures that he had been chasing down for some time. He's heavy with breath, breathing from the running he's been doing for the past several minutes. And yet he is here now, finally having caught them, and they've finally given up on running. They're standing there panting and breathing hard as well, realizing now that in this moment they can no longer run from Martin. It seems like no matter where they go or how fast they run, he will keep chasing them, and he has been. But in this moment, Martin, no weapons in his hands, rolling up his sleeves, he stands in front of these two individuals.
Good evening, gentlemen. You almost outran me there for half a second. Kind of proud about it. I'd really hate to have to break your legs in order to get what I need to know from you. But seeing as running is one of your strong suits, I would start there. So either we can talk, or you can scream, and then we talk.
Both of them sort of hesitantly stand there for a second. They exchange glances to one another. One of them builds up the courage slowly, dropping his hood back. He steps forward, a man of probably late 20s, early 30s, a scar running across one cheek, going into his eye, and the eye itself is milky white. This is an individual that you had known as, they called him on the street Teddy, and he's a man who exchanges goods, mostly drugs, things of that nature. But you had heard from another person that Teddy and members of his crew were aware of something regarding your friend's whereabouts or a trail of some variety. And you've now, after days and days, hunted down lead after lead, and your latest lead has led you here to Teddy. He looks at you hesitantly for a moment. You're Martin MacCalister, right?
Oh, good. I don't have to do introductions. Yes. Yes, I am.
I heard on the street that you and your crew were looking for people. I wasn't sure if I was on that list or not. There's a lot of rumors going on.
Rumors. You should probably talk to the person those rumors are about. But what are the rumors? I'd love to hear about myself.
I heard you were wrapped up in something big. A job, a score, something was stolen or taken. Someone is wanted because of it.
Nothing new, I see. So, tell me, do you know the name Amanda? Have you heard this name come across anybody's lips recently?
I mean, Amanda's a pretty common name. Are we talking about a specific Amanda? I'm not quite sure.
We are. Amanda Aglet.
Can't say I'm familiar with that person, no.
You wouldn't be lying to me now, would you?
I have to be real with you. I have zero energy to push and lie to you at this point. You've chased me across the city. I thought you were trying to kill me for some reason. I thought some old debt or some old grudge. And when I saw you looking at me, I ran, not knowing what else to do.
Well, I suppose that answers for you. And Martin turns to look at the other gentleman who he's kept in his eyesight.
The other one is just sitting
And-
there, like, kind of in shock, like, after Teddy had mentioned who you were. He's just sitting there like, am I gonna die? You know, that sort of face, like he's like unsure of what's about to happen, and he's just sitting there. And so you remark towards him, and he just sits there, and he has that what Teddy said.
Strange that both of you would think I'm after you.
Just Teddy.
Who?
Teddy told me to run, so I ran. I didn't know.
Aha. Teddy, how long you known this guy?
I don't know, couple moon cycles. You know what I mean?
Couple moon cycles. You like him?
I mean, yeah.
Awesome.
Sure.
Look over to the other gentleman. Are you right-handed or left-handed? Now be honest with me.
Right-handed?
You're right-handed?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking for a mark on someone's left hand. Please show me your hand.
He shows you his hand.
Okay, as he does that, I would like to roll a skirmish roll
Okay.
to reach out and break one of his fingers.
Okay. Go ahead. I'll say that it is you're in a controlled position because he just doesn't expect it. And with standard effect, because the physical act of breaking someone's finger requires a massive amount of strength, unless you want to spend stress to activate your special kind of ability thing.
No, I'll roll for it. I'll roll for it this time.
Okay.
Because even if I miss, it'll scare him.
Oh, sure.
Well, I got a 5 and a 5 on my
Okay,
two dice
so that's-
for skirmish.
That's a mixed success. So we'll say that the negative of this is as you reach forward, you grab his finger and you start to squeeze, and it's getting to that point where it's about to break, and he freaks out and then like just slaps you, like just across the face. And then after he slaps you, he's just standing there shocked. You know, like how that happens in defense, like you'll just smack someone that's coming at you or something. He does that and then he stops, and there's this awkward moment on his face where he's like, I didn't mean to do. No, just and he's trying to pull his hand out of your grasp at this point.
Right. Well, I'm going to maintain a little bit tighter grip on the finger, not let his hand go. Slowly, purposefully pan my head over to Teddy. I know you like this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I know you see some value in him. So you're going to give me someone who's above your pay grade to go talk to either for either Amanda Aglet or this Scovelander named Ezra.
Okay.
One of the two.
I don't know anything about the Scovelander. I've heard rumors, something about Scarlock or something like that. But I do know something about a girl that was taken in Char Hollow.
Oh, good. We're at least zeroing in on the right person. Please do tell.
I don't know who it is. Can you just let my friend's finger go, please? Like, I'm going to give you the information here, but I just need, sign of good faith.
Releases the finger, but keeps the hand well within grabbing distance if he chooses to try and run.
Kind of like if he tries to move too far away, you kind of give him that, like, you're like your hands on his shoulder kind of thing. Like, you're like, yeah, buddy.
He'll be like, it's okay, friend.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Okay. I'd heard there's a blue coat lieutenant in Char Hollow. There's a person snooping around that area of town, a guy by the name of Shale. I saw apparently some people knew that he was in on some job down there or something. And in Char Hollow, I don't know if it's the same job, but I'd heard that it was big. Would have paid very, very well, very, very hush-hush. So I don't know the details, but maybe this friend of yours that went missing or whatever, maybe that was the job.
Maybe. Does this Chael have a last name, or is that his name?
That's his name.
That's his name. Okay. Teddy, thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. You're a stand-up guy. Really appreciate it.
Thanks. Thanks, Martin.
Takes my hand. Martin takes his hand off the other guy's shoulder. You're like, you should really listen to this guy right here. He'll teach you a few things. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time.
Oh.
And if you tell anyone about this, especially you, looks to the person who I didn't break his finger.
He makes that motion,
And
like that kind of like throw the key away sort of thing, and just is like standing there like, yeah.
There's a bright future for you. Gentlemen, tips his hat and turns around and starts walking away slowly in the rain.
Okay.
Heading toward the part of Char Hollow where the blue coats are most easily found.
Okay. So, we'll now move to Angela. Angela finds themselves in a neighborhood in Char Hollow, a place known as Wicker Street. This is a place, for those of you that may have seen the promo, is an area that Reaper is very, very familiar with. Reaper grew up here. Reaper knows the people, knows the lay of the land. Reaper's very much a local, even though lately they've been quite a bit in Dunslow working, but fighting in the fighting pits. Char Hollow is still very much Reaper's home, on and off. Reaper finds himself in Char Hollow, looking around, snooping a little, exchanging information with the right people, paying off street people to basically keep an eye out, whatever the case may be. But we find Reaper sitting or standing at one specific intersection in Char Hollow, the passing of workers heading to and from their jobs, to and from sort of like a lunchtime area, we'll say. It is early morning here. The sun is still not risen in the over the horizon. Darkness is still set, but it is still very early. People going to and from their jobs, grabbing food on the way. Reaper has been waiting specifically at the street corner because she believes that a person that she's been looking for over these past few days might stop by one of their local dealers, shall we say. And she's hoping that perhaps today might be the day that she finds him. In that moment, Reaper, you're standing at the street. You think you see the individual you've been looking for, crossing through the busy, bustling streets of early morning Char Hollow. The man passes through the crowd, avoiding people's gaze, and then slips into an alleyway across the street.
I will follow him
Mhm.
a little bit ways, and then once he turns into the alleyway, I'll follow him into the alleyway.
Okay.
Keeping my distance so he doesn't know that I'm following him, but he's eventually going to figure it out.
Okay. Reaper approaches the alleyway, seeing him walk down, and she sees him get almost to the edge of the alleyway and then knock on a door on the side of a building. Presumably this is some sort of like store or market of some variety. The door seems to lead to an area that one would presume would be where cargo is being kept, like goods and things of that nature. There are boxes set outside. There is trash in this alleyway, as though people just sort of threw their stuff out. The rain is still thick on the ground, it having rained most of the night. And she sees Chael standing there, knocking on the door and waiting. Eventually...
I'm going to wait to see...
Oh, no, go ahead.
I'm going to wait for him to see who answers and see if I can identify the face that answers.
Okay. The door cracks open a bit, and you see Chael have some sort of conversation. You can't make out what he says, but you see him talking. His lips are moving, and then eventually he reaches into his lapel sort of pocket, pulling out coinage, silver, like a small bag, hands it to a disembodied hand that Reaper sees kind of poke out of the door. The very small portion of a face, seeing only really an eye, but it's hard to tell from this distance who is inside that building. The disembodied hand is mostly clothed. It seems like it's somewhat maybe leathery looking, kind of old and wrinkly perhaps. It's still very dark, so it's hard to tell. The bag of silver is passed. Chael then waits. The hand disappears. A few seconds later, the hand reappears with a second sack of some type. It gets placed into Chael's hand, and then Chael nods and walks off down the alleyway, heading away from the vantage point that Reaper has been keeping.
I'm going to take a note of what place this is.
Okay.
The address or the location, anything I can discern from the locale.
Okay.
And I'm going to follow Chael out. I would like to bump into him and take what he has in his hand.
Oh, like
violently.
like without him? Oh, like to where he knows? I didn't know if you meant like you wanted to like try and pickpocket him or something of that variety.
I want to try to pickpocket him, but if
Okay.
he finds out, then it'll turn into a skirmish.
Okay. So you follow him down the alleyway until he eventually heads back to a major street. You notice that he seems to be kind of avoiding them a bit, like he's heading through these back alleyways. But you start to move eventually into the street to where you're parallel. You start trying to think about, okay, if he's going this way, I might go this way, and I can eventually cut him off. Eventually, you see your moment as he's heading, and he's headed through a mostly major area, but there's one section of the neighborhood that he's now heading through that is basically surrounded on four sides with streets. Think of kind of like the streets in like old style New York kind of a thing, where there's like a neighborhood beset by streets around it, which happens quite often in a huge city like Duskwall. But he eventually is traveling through one of those areas and has to leave the safety of this alleyway that he's been moving through to head into that street. You approach through the crowd, using the crowd to cover you from his gaze, and go ahead and roll if you'd like.
I'm gonna roll finesse.
If you're trying to be like finesse with it, you're trying to like accidentally bump into him, sort of covering your face, to where he doesn't really see you, like maybe leaning your head down, and then you're pickpocketing him. If that's the way you want to go about it, that would make perfect sense. Yes.
And I would like to push myself.
Okay.
I'm going to take 2 stress.
Okay. And gain a dice.
Gain a dice.
Yeah, push it. Sorry, I just keep thinking of the.
I got a 2 and a 1.
Mm.
A 2 and a 1. Okay, so that is considered in this game a failure. But in this game, for those of you that are watching Blades for the first time, in this game there's no such thing as a failure. There's only failing forward. So in this game, the action never doesn't happen. It's just that there's an intense reaction or consequence or something from the action, right? Whereas if Reaper had crit succeeded, there would be no negative thing. The plan would have gone off flawlessly. Everything would have been perfect. So in this particular situation, Reaper starts walking forward, and in that last few steps before, as Reaper's preparing in their mind, okay, I'm going to approach from this side. His coat's open. I saw him put it in the left side pocket of his jacket, his lapel. Okay, so I'm going to approach kind of from the right, and then I'm going to bump into him, heading towards his left, so I can reach my hand in real quick and make it seem like I'm like dragging my hand across him, like I fell or was losing my balance. And while this is playing out in Reaper's mind, everything seems perfect. The timing lines up. Reaper goes to approach, but Reaper for a moment sort of forgets their own strength, bumping into Chael and just full body checks him. Just like hand in the pocket, Reaper gets the hand in the pocket, but then with the shoulder, it's just too much weight going forward, and Reaper just goes blam and knocks Chael to the ground onto his ass. Chael is like blam, hits the cobblestone, and he's just looking up. Reaper has the pouch in their hand, and Chael is standing there like, what is happening? Like they're still like not fully realized as to what just happened. They've completely been caught by surprise.
All right, I am going to aim to knock him out with a punch to the face.
Okay.
And I will roll skirmish for that.
Sure.
That's 2 dice.
Sure. Yeah.
I have a friend already. That's amazing.
I got a 5 and a 1.
5 and a 1. Okay, that is a mixed success. So Reaper, after body checking him to the ground, does she say anything, or is she just in like business mode, total silence?
She's in business
Okay, so the darkness, the crowds are around, accidentally body check him, and then immediately we'll say, just in one fell swoop, Reaper immediately takes one knee, puts a hand on Chael's chest, and then just clocks him right in the chin, and he's just out. There's a snap as you hear the bone break in his chin, and he just goes out like a light. Chael immediately, at that point, is like sort of standing over him, and it happens so quick that if people weren't paying attention, they may not have even noticed. Most of the people seem to have not noticed. A few people are now looking over, and they're like, wait, is that guy okay? Hey, is that guy okay? And they start asking Reaper that.
Yeah, I'll pick him up and pretend he's drunk and he's passing out.
Kind of like
over
Weekend at Bernie's, like.
Just
Yeah,
weekend.
exactly.
Okay. So Reaper picks up Chael, Weekend at Bernie's style, like, oh, it's been a long night, friend, And where's Reaper taking him?
I'm gonna take him behind a dumpster, and I'm gonna dump his silly ass behind there when no one's looking, and I'm gonna take his shit and go.
Okay. So you got the pouch that you were hoping to get. What other shit, quote unquote, was Reaper planning to take from Chael?
Any weaponry he has, any armor he has, any valuables he has.
He's not wearing any armor. Armor isn't super normal thing, in this. Think of like sort of Victorian era. People don't really wear armor too much unless they're like soldiers in the army, right? He does have a pistol tucked into a sort of hidden holster, a small, think of like a musket, a mini, almost like a Derringer, right? Derringer. He's got that hidden in his back there. He also has a knife on one hip on the back, and then he's got a boot knife in his boots, in the left boot, we'll say.
Boot knife.
Okay, sure.
I'll be honorable with his boot knife.
Honorably leaving him his boot knife. That's
right.
That's so good of you. That's so good of you. So you leave him his boot knife. You take his Derringer. You take his pistol. You take his purse, which, by the way, he's got about somewhere about half a bag-ish of silver. So we'll call it tentatively, because of the resource system in this game, for those of you that never played Babes before, the resource system for money is very esoteric. It's called coin, and coin usually represents a bag of silver. So we'll tentatively call it 1 coin, but, you know, he's probably not... it's probably not an actual full coin's worth of resource, but there's no half values in this game, so... We'll just say a bag, you know, a small bag of silver is fine, and we don't even need to assign it a coin value.
And that was what was in the bag, correct?
No, there is something else in the bag. The bag that you took from him has some sort of weird, viscous and powdery substance. It has this strange iron hue to it. It seems almost metallic. Like sand almost, but it's too dense to be like sand granules, if you know what I mean. And it has a like when you pop open the bag, it immediately has this almost sort of sulfuric smell, slightly sulfuric. It just smells terrible.
Do I recognize it at all?
No, you don't.
All right.
It's not, this sort of thing isn't like a common drug or anything like it. It seems like whatever this was is something weird and strange. Maybe it's sulfur, like literally, maybe it's just sulfur or something of that variety, but it doesn't have the same color as sulfur, if I remember right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you Reaper takes his things, drops his, dropping his drunk body off in an alleyway. And takes his things and goes, where's Reaper heading now?
I'm heading back to Aldo's house, Aldo's neighborhood.
Okay.
Where I met the older lady.
Oh, Henna?
Henna,
okay.
Yeah.
So Reaper starts heading back towards the other section of Char Hollow that they frequent into to Wicker Street. And with that, we are going to move now to... Xylus. Zacharias, after a few days, has come to the norm of hiding within Clyra's tavern. Even though that was some time ago. For Zacharias, what had happened to him, unlike some of the other cast members and their characters, the thing that you may have seen in the promo actually took place several weeks ago. And so Carver has had time to adjust, to sort of get his ground, his feet beneath him, as it would be, but he still hasn't quite found the answers he's been seeking. Carver is laying in bed, sort of at that point where he's almost about to fall asleep, and then sort of nods off for a second, waking up. In those split moments, having dreams of his experience, hearing the whispers and the vision, and remembering the vision that he saw during his time in the vast Deathlands desert. He hears the whispers but can't quite make out what they are. He hears Connor's voice in his ears softly, and then it fades away, almost hauntingly, like it's echoing through a space, through a large room, sort of surrounding him, closing in on him, and then fading away.
Carver kind of gets up and starts pacing about, just like this uncomfortable, sort of reflecting on what's been going on, trying to formulate a plan in his own mind.
Okay. Is he speaking aloud? Is he stuck in his mind? Like where is Carver? I mean, he's hidden away in the top floor, we'll say, like physical location. He's hidden away in the top floor of Clyra's tavern, in sort of the apartment above that Clyra owns. She's given him safe harbor there for the time being and for several weeks. And so that's where he's physically pacing. But I mean, like, where is he mentally? Where do you feel like his mind has been going with the dreams and his experiences with the visions and everything that has happened to him previously?
Carver's trying to keep a sense of self,
Okay.
and is trying to not go insane.
Mm-hmm.
As he kind of reflects on everything that's happened and that listlessness kind of takes him, he'll go. He'll go and try to find Clyra to speak with her.
Sorry, I had to fix something very quickly. Okay, so his pacing, driving himself mad as he might often do, as we've sort of spoken about, where he just gets into his mind about things. He's pacing nervously through the house, through the upper floor. His steps are creaking on the old wood of this building that is relatively old. And then he eventually heads to the door to the stairway that leads down into the tavern. It's early in the morning. The regulars that come by before work have stopped by for, a hot bowl of porridge and maybe some mead to start their days, or perhaps maybe some very, very shitty, like, coffee variant, the equivalent of, like, what you would get at,
Chicory.
Yeah, right. Something like it's basically just the most basic form. It's basically just beans, crappy beans, mixed. There you go, dirty water kind of thing. Carver sees Clyra down, of course, working, and they've just seemed to be came out from the back area. They're carrying a box of what looks like glasses and things, like they maybe had just washed them in the back in a basin or something, and they're carrying them back out to be set down.
Clyra's carrying the box?
Yes.
Carver will try to assist.
Okay. So Carver walks over, it having been weeks, he's healed from his wounds. He goes to help Clyra, and Clyra, turns and sees him reaching for it and just quickly sort of hands him the box, not even thinking about it, just hands him the box, and then immediately starts going to another task, and Clyra's like, just drop the box on the other side of the bar there, Carver. And she furiously starts working. So he drops the box over on the other end of the bar where the other glasses go, and Clyra is sitting there now sort of getting food ready and getting porridge going for the customers that have ordered it. Clyra, for being basically the only person that works here at the tavern, especially in the morning, is a very, very hard worker. You can see that, and you've seen that. You've known Clyra to always be very, very diligent in the way that they go about their work and the way they conduct themselves. But you can see it a little bit on her face this morning. You can see that there seems to be some stress sitting in. She has those sort of bags under her eyes, like she hasn't been getting quite enough sleep. It seems like something's, just there. It's on her. It's bothering her, but you're not quite sure what it is. She doesn't seem angry. She just seems tired, exhausted, which is strange because Clyra is generally very chipper in the morning, good energy. And it's just yeah, let's start the day, let's get it going. And that just doesn't seem to be the case today.
Kind of walk up beside her and ask to speak to her.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, what do you need, Carver?
Are you okay?
Oh, you want to talk private or something? Sure. Let me just pour up these bowls. I'll meet you in the back here in a few minutes. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay. So she serves up the bowls. You head to the back. It seems like she's, still working at stuff and getting everything set up. And then eventually, she finishes serving the customers she needs to serve and heads to the back area, sort of the cooking area. You're familiar with one of the back rooms, which is sort of the storage room, but there was another back room that's basically sort of a kitchen area. And so she follows you basically back into the kitchen area. What's on your mind, Carver? She says as she walks in.
Well, I did have something on my mind, but I've noticed that you're having a rough go of it today.
Yeah, I don't want to put this on you, Carver. I'm okay. Okay, don't worry about it.
Tell me what it is.
You know that I would do anything for you. I mean, we are friends as old as, as far as we can remember. You've always been there for me, and I want to be there for you, but I'm worried about you. You're not sleeping, you're not eating, you're waking up at all hours of the night screaming. Last night was the worst of it, though. I woke up and you were standing near the window, staring out into the night, and you were talking to someone. I said, Carver, are you okay? What's going on? And you just looked over at me and you said, she's out there. And then you pointed out the window and then laid back down and were just immediately asleep again. I don't know if you were sleepwalking. Do you remember that at all?
I don't.
I'm worried about you, Carver. I know you're carrying a lot. And I want you to know that I appreciate you helping me in the ways that you can, but when you take as much time as you need to work through whatever it is that has happened to you, but I don't think staying up in that room every day is doing you any good.
All right. If you can put me in contact with Connor, I'll go start seeking some answers.
You don't have to do that. If you're not ready to do that, Carver.
No, I need to. It's time.
Okay. Connor, and she heads back in towards the bar, grabs a little, piece of basically the equivalent of parchment, but it's like hide, that sort of old style hide that they would use, and pulls out a quill, grabs some ink, opening him a bottle, dips it in, and writes down a name and a place, and then hands it to you.
Thank you. And I'll try not to be so noisy at night.
I don't think that you know that you're doing it, and I don't think that you can control it, Carver. It just makes me worried, I'm just worried that you have too much teetering on your shoulders right now, and I'm worried it's just going to break. You're just going to lose yourself into whatever this is. I just want you to be okay?
I don't think I'll be okay until I figure out what's going on. But I thank you for everything that you've done for me.
Okay.
Everything that you continue to do for me.
Okay.
And I hope you know that I will do what I can to figure out what happened, what's going on.
Okay. I'll go there. Connor should be there at some point during the day today. Probably in the afternoon. He usually frequents that place. You look down at what she wrote, and it describes an old building belonging to a lesser noble family in the Six Towers.
Carver will kind of grab a bag and a knife.
Okay.
And he will dress as inconspicuously as possible and head out in that direction.
Okay. Carver, as he walks out, I feel like I'm gonna mispronounce it for some reason all of a sudden. Clyra, sorry. I was like, Kyra? Yeah, that sort of thing. Clyra reaches out, puts her hand on his shoulder, like her right hand, and then in the other hand gives him a bowl of like food and is like, eat this before you go at least, please.
He'll hold up the bowl of food and he'll eat,
Okay.
though it pains him so.
Okay. And with that, we will move now to Doug. Blinder finds himself in the midst of a scuffle outside of a portion of Dunslow, an area, rickshaw, an area of town that is considered one of the worst of the worst, the slums. And he's sort of engaged in a, not to say a fight, but more of a kerfuffle, where someone is trying to hurriedly push him out of like a hostel that street people are welcomed into, and given food, etc. And he's being hurriedly pushed out by an old man who works there. He's like, "You get out of here! I told you."
What? You allow all these other vagrants in here? Why can't I be in here?
It's your smell.
What are you talking about? I don't smell.
Trust me, friend.
Whatever.
I have an aged nose. I know these things. You have a smell about you.
Smell. Oh, well. Smell this. He turns around and walks off.
The man quickly, the old man for his age, very quickly reaches out his hand and touches Blinder's shoulder. And then leans into him and says, "If I were you, young man, I would be more careful about the public places I go. There are whispers. Whispers." And he sort of chuckles to himself and then like walks away, cane in hand, leaving back to the large room of this hostel where everyone's sort of congregated in this lobby.
When he cackles, like Blinders is gonna be like, and then turn his face, and as he's walking away, he's like,
Yeah.
like, and he's starting to look around everywhere, down the streets, at people walking by, just like now all of a sudden just like very, very self-conscious, and he's gonna
Head back to his place of rest.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, okay, well, I guess I don't get to eat tonight.
Well, at least this morning. He doesn't get to eat this morning, we'll say.
Yeah.
So he is busily moving through the city as he's become very accustomed to Dunslow. Having felt some heat in other sections of town, he decided that the easiest place to blend in for a person dressed in the way that he was and conducting himself in the way that he does would probably be the place where other street people often live, etc. And so he has become a bit more familiar with the streets of Dunslow, although it is, like all districts in Duskwall, it is very large. So he makes his way back to his hidden hovel, a section of tenement that has been abandoned for some time, a roof caved in from some sort of storm or rain or snow some years ago. It looks like it's fallen in and created a cave-in in a few different hovels. And Ezra has found, even though the area has been boarded up, that there is a side passage, like an area that could be used as a side passage with a little bit of dirt being dug out to basically step underneath the foundation and step into the house, because the foundation itself, being made of wood, or the floor at least, was split apart by the weight of the roof falling down, And so, rain and time has basically sort of done its damage. And because of that, a person who thinks can very easily sort of slip into this place unseen almost, and also remain out of sight for the most part. Although it may not be the most rain-proof area, it certainly is secluded.
Okay.
As Ezra arrives, though, he finds that the things that he had left, his belongings, are sort of strewn about.
Like, are they just like all over the little, like the floor, like just scattered about, like?
No, his personal effects. Like his
Okay,
his
okay,
things,
okay.
his things that he's brought here are sort of scattered
Yeah.
about, like someone had gone through them or something.
Is the backpack there on the floor?
He doesn't see it where he left it.
He's gonna go looking into his backpack.
Okay.
Looking forward to see if the newspaper clippings are gone.
He eventually, looking around the space, eventually finds his backpack, and it seems like it's been dumped out onto the floor and then was thrown on the floor as well. And he finds that that the clippings that he kept had been taken. Someone took them. There's a few like seems like bits sort of like maybe fallen away or something, but the vast majority of them are missing, are gone, are not within sight currently anywhere.
He's gonna like throw the bag down in frustration and sit down, and he's like, oh my god. Ah! What do now? What do we? Six times. Does it look like this place, like they broke in, or they just like found it? Is there any evidence of who might have come in and out, or?
There are dirtied footprints from like wet mud from the surrounding dirty streets. Now that Ezra starts looking around, he realized that one of the windows on the far side of one of the hovels that had been boarded up has been ripped open on a backside, so you don't see it from the street. And it looks like he sees dirtied boot prints moving through the space until they eventually make their way to this section of this sort of dilapidated secret place that Ezra has found. And they eventually find their way to his area that he sleeps and keeps his things. And then they sort of circle around the space like someone was looking at different things and going through things. Yes, so it does seem like someone else was here for sure.
I'm gonna grab something sharp.
Okay. We'll say there's a piece of glass nearby or a piece of metal very easily.
And I'm going to study. Okay, I would like to grab something sharp,
Okay.
and I would like to use my study to track examining evidence that may have been left additionally, or trying to figure out like how fresh they are, how much time may have passed since they left, what direction they may have headed into, with looking at the boot, you know, and I would like to make a devil's bargain.
For those of you that don't know, in Blades in the Dark, a devil's bargain is something that a player, or a cast member in the sense, or myself, the storyteller, can choose to ask if it would like to be offered. A devil's bargain is usually some sort of negative thing that will happen because of the roll. And however, it provides the person doing the test with an extra dice, so they have more chance of success. So what is the devil's bargain you were thinking of?
I'm thinking that there is trouble coming for blinders.
Okay.
And trouble will find me.
Okay.
When I it's either I find these people or it finds me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is that good?
Yes, that's some sort. So just to clarify, like the devil's bargain is that
Basically-
some sort of trouble will happen because of this. Is that what you're saying?
There's some others, the people somebody is looking for him or will notice him.
Oh, sure.
That he won't want that attention.
Oh,
some
okay.
sort of
So you're not
negative-
being specific about who it is. It's sort of up to me.
No, I'm gonna.
Oh,
leave it
sure.
to you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 2 6s and a 4.
Ooh, that is a critical success, sir. That is a critical success. In this game, in order to get a critical success, you have to roll a 6 and a 6 on the dice. If you just roll a 6, it is a full success, and then a 2 6s is a crit. It's like a nat 20 in this game.
First crit.
First crit of the stream. Pour one out. There we go.
Yep.
Right.
So yes,
No, I'm not
there
gonna do
is
that.
no
Too much
in the case of a success or full success or a critical success, there is no negative that takes place other than the devil's bargain, because that was the price that was paid for the extra dice. So
Yeah, and I'm assuming that's some sort of clock that's going to happen or something like that, or.
yes, I will be assigning that, but I'm going to do it in the background now, just because we've had so many tech things. I don't want to try to mess with too much stuff tonight. So that people are aware, there is a system in this game of gauging time and action known as clocks. I will be explaining that more in the future, and we'll go into it. I also have an overlay to be able to show those to you. But for now, we'll focus more on just trying to make sure that tonight's stream is just mostly getting the characters engaged and into the story. But if I need a clock, it is there, and I will pull it up. And I am secretly creating a clock right now that I will eventually show to all of you, including the cast members and the audience. So a critical success. Actually, would you like to describe because you're using study. So how do you think Ezra would go about studying these tracks and the things that he found?
Okay, so he would have been very observant about his the locale.
Okay.
In the last couple of days since he's basically moved in here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he has a really good memory and such. So he basically looks down. He basically looks at the boot, and he's like, "Okay, the person weighs this much. They're using a work boot. This work boot has mud on it that's from like in this part of the section or this part of town." Right, and they have a left lean. They may
So
have
he's very CSI kind of with it. He's like picking up
Yeah.
bits of mud, like
Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes. Yeah, he's very in there, like analyzing the. Okay, it seems like he has this much. So he's probably about this tall. Okay, so I can presume that this is a somewhat lithe individual, not sure of necessarily gender or something of that variety. But they seem to be somewhere in average height. Their boots seem very old and worn because the part of the heel doesn't seem to give the same amount of mud in the same way. Like it seems like the heels have been worn out, so it places the footprint in a certain way. He can tell by the way that the footprints move that it wasn't like this person was looking for something specific. It seems like they may have wandered into here unknowingly. And then when happening upon Ezra's things, they started going through them and sort of walking around. And like Ezra sort of pictures it in his mind. There's this moment where he sort of, as he looks to his surroundings, he sees this person sort of in his mind's eye, as it would be, walking around and going through his things. As some of those things are falling out of the bag and thrown on the floor, he realizes that the way that they fell wasn't that the person had poured out the bag, it was that the person had gone through piece by piece and was holding the items and looking at them, and then presumably then would drop them or something or put them down. And that's why they seem to be strewn everywhere across the space that Ezra lives in. He notices then, as he follows the footsteps, that the footsteps go further into this row of hovels that have been connected and disconnected through a sort of labyrinthian not to say tunnel system, but like through this window being broken out and this building falling into this one. There's this sort of long, almost think of it like a trailer. You know how there's those long trailers. There's that sort of distance for several sections of these hovels, and with all of their roofs having fallen in here and there, you can sort of make your way through it. He follows the footsteps until he eventually finds the remaining pieces laying on the ground, and there is a person or shape of a body laying on the ground as well, covered in like cloths, almost like a primitive sleeping bag sort of thing going on.
Oh, like they're sleeping.
Yeah, like they're sleeping. Yeah.
Okay. Blinders will walk up, kneel down right next to the person, and then grab their shoulder,
Okay.
and pull them around, and put the sharp thing up to their throat.
Okay. As he reaches down, he feels through the cloth and feels their shoulder, and they seem to be a very small, lithe frame. Seemingly, as he turns their face, they have feminine features. Their features are very Eruvian, though. Their skin is amber. It is covered in soot, though, and dirt. Their hair is kept in a bun underneath their hood. You can see that the hair is pulled back, and there's this sort of bump in the back of the hood. And it is quite dirty. They have big bags under their eyes, like they haven't slept almost in days. But they seem young. They seem, well, not young, but like, mid to late 20s. And as you turn them around, and you said you're grabbing them by the throat?
Well, I'm going to grab them by the shoulder, basically to pull them around, and then I'm going to put the sharp thing.
Okay.
So
you're gonna throw them on their back basically, and then like be over the top of them with the knife. Okay, so you flip the person over. You notice all their features, their Ruvian features, and then you put the knife to their throat, and then they've woken up and they're looking at you, and they're just sitting there, staring at you. You see that there's this look in their eyes, like it's not just tiredness or exhaustion, but it's like they've been here before. Maybe they've given up. You're not sure. Maybe they welcome death. That sort of embrace of this moment. Like they don't fear what you're about to do if you're going to kill them. It's not so much a welcomed thing. Like they're not hoping that you kill them, but there's definitely no hesitancy in the way that they're looking at you.
He kind of like stumbles over his words, like, give me the newspaper. You stole it. I just want my paper. You stole my clippings. I need my clippings.
Can I get up?
Yes, but you make a move, I'll use this.
Well, if I was going to make a move, I would have already done it, she says. And she looks down, and you feel a tap at the inside of your thigh, right where your, shall we say, your downstairs place is. And you notice that she has pulled a knife, and it's just holding it. Like if you make a move, she makes a move, kind of a thing.
I'm just gonna like just pull the sharp thing away and get back. Still holding it at her.
Yeah. So you're holding it and you back away. She leans up and like pushes herself a little bit back. So she's sitting up, as though she could spring up at any moment. She takes the knife though, and looking at you with the knife, she does one of these and then just sets it down. She reaches into a pocket and pulls out the clippings, and then offers them up to you.
I'll snatch him.
Okay. He just sort of snatches them. Okay.
Yeah, he's like.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Hold on. She says.
Good.
Why do you have those clippings?
Just sometimes you need to keep memories
The man's
with you.
The man's name in the article is a man I've heard of. You wouldn't happen to know anything about him, would you?
What have you heard?
Things on the street. A friend of mine is mixed up in something, I think, but I haven't heard from him in a few days. I'm looking for him.
What do you want with him?
I want to make sure that he's okay. He's looking for the same man that's spoken about in that clip, I'm pretty sure. He's looking for some sort of man named Ezra.
I know something of this person in the newspaper.
Would you help me find him? Give me anything you know about him?
Perhaps. Do you have any money?
Yes, I have money. Like you see her say that, and as she says that, you look at her clothes and you realize that she's not wearing like street clothes.
Oh, yeah.
Her clothes are dirty, like she's been on the run and like she's been on the street for a few days, or that maybe she purposefully made them look more haggard than they were. But as you look closer, you realize that they're much underneath the sort of cloak, wool cloak that she's wearing. The clothes are actually quite nice. You know, the shirt, the trousers, the state of the boots. It's as though she's tried very, very hard to blend. But to a trained eye such as yours, you notice the subtle differences. There's not as much wear and tear on the heels, so obviously these shoes have to be, 2, 3, 4 months old. The hem on the pants isn't consistently stitched in a way. It seems like they were bought at probably a nicer section of town, which means, when she says she has money, she may have had money, or maybe she still does. But she's definitely not a person who's been on the street for some time.
Does you don't work for a lord, do you?
No.
And your friend doesn't either?
No.
I could use a meal.
Do you want to eat?
Yes, and I'll tell you where you could find Ezra.
That's fine. What's your name?
Blinder. You can call me Blinder.
Okay. My name's Mercy.
Fitting.
That's a name a friend gave me some years ago.
Mine too, although it wasn't a friend. But
Let's go get you a hot meal.
Very well.
And so you collect your things now, having regained your clippings, bringing your stuff back together. You put it in your bag, grabbing your bag. You and Mercy, she collects her things, putting her weapons away. You notice that the weapon she's carrying was somewhat nice, but more of definitely a precision tool, like it was crafted for fighting, like a fighting blade. You also realize that she has other weapons on her too that she keeps very well hidden. So you can make assumptions based on that, and it's something she doesn't even notice that you notice. But based on your study and your the way that she moves, the way that she holds herself, you presume that she's trained, probably, maybe even a sword fighter of some type. There's a poise and grace to the way that she moves, from years of discipline and training, etc.
Did you perhaps, while we're going to wherever Mercy's taking us, me to get meal, did you perhaps take a small gold coin with a blood stain on one, a red stain on one side of it?
From your back?
Yes.
I set it over. I set it over there, out of the rain. I was worried I would ruin it.
Oh. I'll pick it up. Thank you. It's a superstition.
Oh, I see. Whose blood is it?
Purportedly a demon's.
A real demon or a Taikarosi?
I don't know. Superstitions. You acquire things.
I understand. And as they leave and head to get a warm meal, Mercy, you notice, takes back roads, trying to avoid people noticing her. You can tell she's done this just like as you have many, many times. You both sort of interact in that way, almost communicating without even needing to speak. Like, she gives you a nod here, and you both sort of find yourselves heading through an area. There's this sort of communication that slowly builds between you, as though she's used to working in a group, in these sorts of environments where she's trying to avoid people seeing her. And that is where we will leave that scene for now. So, Martin MacCalister. Martin, having had your situation sort of escalate and de-escalate in ways, you continue your hunt for your friend Amanda, who has gone missing. You had ran into an individual by the name of Teddy, who had given you some information that a man you would be looking for by the name of Chael frequented a district of Char Hollow, or had been seen there lately. You've made your way through the city, traveling from the night market through the varied districts until you eventually find yourself in Char Hollow, the area of Duskwall that is the sort of middle lower class area of town where workers, dock workers, sailors, etc., who, although may not be the richest of individuals, they are definitely still not the destitute of Duskwall. By this point, it's midday. Especially traveling by foot through Duskwall, the hurried streets just get busier and busier. At one point, you traveled by gondola, Duskwall being a city that is beset by the ocean and has many canalways traveling through it. In fact, there is one district of town that is almost impossible to traverse without using gondolas, which is called the Red Lamp district of town, for those of you that are interested in knowing that little factoid. And you find yourself in Char Hollow, walking down the familiar streets from your childhood. You see a few faces that you recognize, but time and age has made you unrecognizable. You dress different, you conduct yourself different, your facial hair is different, and people, although you may have recognized them, they obviously don't recognize you the same.
And as I walk, I make very little effort to reconnect with anybody I might have seen.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You know, I am not interested in being in this part of town anymore.
Okay. So where is it that Martin is choosing to look first? Char Hollow is being a vast district in and of itself.
Very true. Seeing as I'm from here, I would know a lot of the locations that Bluecoats hang out in.
Yeah, there's a sort of an area that's their sort of station. So that would be a place that you would think. They're usually nearby areas that travel from district to district. But as I've said many times before, Bluecoats being the thugs that they are, especially in the more destitute areas of town, or at least the not as nice areas of town, the Bluecoats are a thuggish, corrupt group of what was supposed to serve as protectors of the peace, but in fact really only care for coin in most cases. And they do their job when it's required of them, but if the price is good enough, they're willing to let things slide or let things go unseen. So you find your way to being familiar with the district, you know where one of these sort of stations is, and you find yourself standing outside of the Blue Coat station. A few Blue Coats are standing outside, sort of interacting and talking with one another, as though they're potentially about to go out on patrol or something of that variety. You see there's a hustle and bustle in and around the building, but there's not too many people coming in or going out. You see that there are people inside sort of keeping notes. You can see a person standing behind what looks like a big desk of some type, and they are writing things down in their Blue Coat attire.
I'm not going to mess with the people on the outside.
Okay.
Do I know if the building is public access, or is this a place that I do not go?
Oh, this is a public access space.
Okay.
It's
Cool.
it's basically like where you would walk into like a patrol station and be like, hey, there's a thing. They obviously have spaces behind, like offices and things like that are private, but this entryway specifically is a place you can enter into. There's a sort of a few metal cells not actually set into the building as you enter, but inside the space itself that have been set on the ground and there's space around them. And you see a few people. There's like 3 cells, we'll say. You see 2 different people, one in 2 of the cells, basically.
Okay. Well, before I walk in, I kind of find a little secluded place in the alleyway and just kind of just take a breath and ready myself as to not disrupt these people too badly.
Okay. So Martin conducts himself.
Strutting on into the station. Even with the rain-soaked clothing, still trying to make it as neat and presentable as possible.
Oh, of course.
Doesn't matter if I'm wet, I still look good.
The rain in and of itself has slowly died down in the morning, it now being towards midday, or getting towards afternoon. So the sun is almost at the brightest that it will be. We'll say it's somewhere, in the neighborhood of 11-ish. Of that variety. And so you've had time for the rain to sort of dry, but there's still a dampness to your clothes. Presumably you were wearing a rain jacket of some variety. Being a man of style, you don't want your fine suits to be ruined. So you sort of dust off your raincoat as you come under the vast canopy of wood with a porch-like system out in front of the building. You walk underneath, sort of brushing the rain off of your hat, and
take the hat, shake it out,
and step inside of these Blue Coat station.
I do. I look for a receptionist or person who doesn't seem too busy.
There seems to be one man standing inside. There's also a young-ish, probably teenage age-looking boy who seems to be collecting parchments and things of that variety and moving sacks for this sort of middle-aged man that you see standing behind the desk. He has a mustache that sort of comes down and then hits the end of his chin and then ends. There's no hair here, no hair there. He just has that like super poosh mustache for a little sound effect for you. And his hair, though, is combed back, beset by water. He's not wearing the normal Blue Coat sort of hat that you might see. His jacket is a bit open. Like he's not set to form and fashion necessarily. He's just sort of at work and doesn't really care. Is the vibe you're getting from this individual? His face is somewhat weathered by age. You can tell that he's probably been around for a while and worked for the Blue Coats for some time. He's a bigger, sort of heavy-set man, and he's sitting at a chair behind the desk as he scribbles down notes. Counting coin, etc.
Right. Well, I walk up to this gentleman and present myself, and just so that out of game no one gets confused, I am going to be lying to this guy using a different name.
Oh, sure.
Just to make sure there's no confusion in chat.
Sure, of course.
Walk up. Is there a seat in front of his desk? No. Walk up, kind of hunch down to get to eye level with this guy.
Okay.
Good morning, sir.
He takes the sort of spectacles off of his nose, and they're connected to a chain, and he puts them into his pocket. He has this face like he's like, who the fuck is bothering me? Why is this guy talking to me? Sort of dusts a few crumbs off of his shirt. You can see that there's like a sandwich sitting there on a piece of paper. Dusts the crumbs off. How can I help you, sir?
I am here looking for one of your number. No ill intent, just for a conversation. His name is Shale.
There's no one by that name that is a blue coat, sir. I could check the records, though, but I'm pretty sure that's not the case. Give me 1 second. Boy! He screams over at the young boy. Go get the book back there. And the boy, like, nods and then heads off, comes back with this, a book, sets it down. A few more of the crumbs of the sandwich get knocked aside off of the desk. He cracks it open with this thick, like, leather-sounding crack and starts going through pages. Yes, seems those people currently under hire of this station. There's no one here by the name of Chale. How is it spelled, though, just to be sure?
I'm not entirely sure. I would imagine with a CH.
C-H-A...
L-E, maybe?
L-E, you think?
Or A-I-L, maybe?
A-I-L... Perhaps. I'll check.
Perhaps.
No, I'm not seeing anyone by that name. Plus, most people that work here come in and out when I'm on duty. Probably would have heard of a rookie or something. I mean, perhaps they're brand new, but I'm not familiar with anyone by that name who works for the Bluecoats. Pardon me, do you mind?
Sure
it's my lunch break, he says as he grabs the sandwich. And you can tell that he said that to you.
What kind of sandwich?
It's like a meat on meat sandwich. It's like salami and like hard meats with a thick pocket of cheese. Like he just took the edge of a block of cheese and just went ka, and then just put it on between two things of bread. And he just bites into it. And he, by the way, when he says that, he doesn't even like really wait for you to say, "Oh yeah, that's fine." He's just like, in that begrudging way, he's like, "You don't mind, do you?" And he's like already taking a bite as he says it. There's you can see the food in his mouth while he's chewing, and there's crumbs on his face that have hit the side of his mustache.
And I'm doing everything within my power to restrain myself from throat punching this man. Just do enjoy your lunch.
I will.
And if you happen to see a Shale, please tell him that James Toys is looking for him.
You hear a voice to your left from one of the cages say, "You're looking for Chale?" "Shut up over there," says the man, the blue coat, sitting behind the desk.
I'm going to lean in really close to this old man.
Okay.
Like close enough to where I can smell whatever he's trying to eat for lunch.
Sure. It is just it is a smell of grease and hard meats, my friend. There are bits of cheese in his teeth. He has a musk to him, like he probably hasn't bathed in a few days, but has like spritzed water to make it himself not necessarily look dirty. It's a pungent aroma, we'll say. A very pungent aroma.
Well, sir, I can see you're very, very busy. But may I have a moment of this gentleman's time undisturbed?
Prisoner.
It will be worth your while.
Oh. Prisoners aren't allowed to be talked to, but I could go on my break If you know what I mean.
Well, you did say you were on your lunch break, and
am.
it has stopped raining.
Oh, perhaps I'll go outside and enjoy my sandwich.
Might be a good idea. And as I do this, I try and slyly put just a small collection of silver.
Mm-hmm.
Like, fuck it. I'm gonna like drop it in whatever mustard or condiments or grease
Like on the
that's
paper. On the paper.
Exactly. Just right in the
Sort
slop.
of lands in this sound of hitting the liquid, that sort of like sloosh, like sloop, it like lands in some of the sauce. The crumbs have collected on the silver coins.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been meaning to go on my break here, so I'll be back.
Thank you very much.
And he like stands up in that sort of like dad noise, and then off he walks towards the back. Boy, go get those books over there. He says. He sends the boy off into another room as well.
I wait until I get a nice pocket of whispering room.
Mm-hmm.
Sidle on up over to the guy near the bars, close enough to whisper, but ever watchful of his hands.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I am looking for him. What do you know?
Well, I could tell you. I know where he is.
And where would that be?
Well, I'm not gonna tell you. But he says that he gets really close to the bars. Like, he's, like, poking his nose through the bars. Like, here's the bars. He's, like, looking at you. What are you going to do for me?
I'm going to reach up really quick and, like a kid, finger and thumb, I'm going to bulldog grip his nose. Just whack! And hold it tight like I'm going to rip this fucker off. What I'm going to do for you...
What are you doing? Look on my nose.
What I'm going to do for you is let you keep the thing that lets you smell.
Well, technically, that's not how the science works, but I understand the point, sir.
Do you?
Yes.
Then where do I find him?
He's right there.
Look over.
You see a man laying inside of the cell next to him, and he seems unconscious. He's like laying towards the bottom of the cell, his feet sort of poking out of the center cell of the three, and he's just like laying there. Like, you can see that there are he has a bandage around his mouth, like set like for like a toothache or something like that, and he's just laying in the cell like completely passed out.
I will let go and kind of readjust his nose to make sure I didn't break anything.
He does like one of those at the end.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you so much,
buddy.
Kind of shake off the fact that I just had to do that.
Yeah.
Step over to the next cell.
You hear the
him.
guy before you start interacting with the unconscious man. You hear him say like, "Ow, my fucking schnoz." Sorry, I just wanted to say schnoz really bad, and it seemed like the perfect time. Okay, anyways, so you look over at the unconscious man in the cell, and yeah, what are you doing?
I look around and I try to see if I can, if there is like a bucket of water, glass of water, some kind of drinkable liquid.
Yeah, there's a piss bucket in there for sure.
Well, no, I mean outside the cell. And I want to like douse him with water to try and wake him up.
You see like a basin of water over to one side where like it seems like people might like wash and freshen up or something. It's behind the desk, in kind of like away from the papers and books and things like that, set off to one side, like basically a bathroom. Kind of a shitty bathroom.
That's fine.
It doesn't have a toilet, but it has like a basin and things like that. Probably like a maybe break room or something. The equivalent, something of that nature.
I walk in there really, really quick. Grab some random rag or towel, soak it in the water from the basin.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice and dripping wet in my hand. Walk back out and just kind of lob it onto the unconscious person's face.
Okay. There's that slap. He kind of shakes awake slightly.
Wakey, wakey.
Hey,
I want to talk to you, if you can talk.
My God, brother.
I can see that.
I got
What'd you do to get your jaw broken?
Kraker.
Craig, what?
Kraker there.
Smaller word. I get that. Somebody hit you in the jaw and you broke your jaw, but what did you do to deserve getting your jaw broken? Well, you must have done something. Well, I would say take it as a lesson and think about your behavior in the future. I'm currently on the look for someone, and I hear that you know where I may be able to find someone connected. Again, slower, please. Single words, small words. Pantomime if you must.
Who?
Her name is Amanda Aglet. And I say that quietly enough so that it doesn't, so that the whisper doesn't escape.
Okay.
You know of her?
Yeah.
Do you know about whereabouts she may be?
Yeah.
You wouldn't be lying to me now, would you?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Is he sitting down or standing up?
He's like laying against the side, you know, just like.
Is he within arm? Is his ankle or foot within arm's reach?
Yeah, if you want to reach in through the bars, sure. Yes.
Oh, this poor guy. Yes, I am going to reach into the bar, and I'm going to grab a hold of his ankle.
Okay, and he's like,
hey, silence or I break it.
Help me! Help me! Help me!
And before anybody comes, I'm going to let go and be like, I don't know what happened. He is apparently disturbed. My apologies. I was simply asking your name, good sir. Have a good day. And I look back to the other person in the cage, and I'll be like, watch your nose. And I walk out of the building, just fuming, fuming mad. And then I start scanning the area, looking for somewhere that I can hide myself until this person leaves.
Okay.
Looking for a place to stake out.
There's like a tavern, you know, there's a few taverns on this area of town. So you could head to a tavern nearby and sort of chill, you know, keep an eye on the building and see when he gets moved out.
I was gonna say, are there windows that let me see the station?
There's no windows, but there's like an open door, you know, a big open door.
Okay.
They don't have air conditioning, you know, and it's the midday, so it's the warmest part of the day for them, and you know, humidity and all that. Plus the ash, you know, the ash in the air from all the factories and warehouses of Duskwall and stuff. It's like it makes it a little warmer, you know, when you have that like smog cloud, basically, right? So you know, most areas have big like open doors or windows or whatever.
Right. Well, I will go to a tavern that has the most optimal view.
Okay. There's one right
of-
across the street, we'll say.
All right. Well, I will go to that tavern. I will find a spot.
Mm-hmm.
I will. Let's see. I will purchase.
You purchase food and do all the sort of thing to sort of blend in.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Like, food, and go for like, I don't know, if they have alcohol on a 1 to 10 scale.
Like just
I'm
some
gonna
drinking ale or something. Something that's not going to get you like shitty, but like having a beer kind of a thing.
Right.
Okay. Sure.
Right. Have a beer, eat my stew or whatever, and just keep an eye out for dude with a bandage and looking for him.
Okay. If I remember correctly, which I may not be, your character is heading to a specific place.
Yes, to Henna.
Oh, right. Yes. So you head back to the familiar street, Wicker Street in Char Hollow, and you find Henna, who seems to be doing some sweeping on the steps of her own simple duplex abode, which is very close to Aldo's. She seems to be enjoying the weather. You can tell she's sort of wearing she has her hair let down and she's wearing like breathable clothes, enjoying the warmth. You even see from a distance as she's sitting there in the sun for a second, she kind of looks up for a second, just letting what light does come down sort of bathe across her face, and like has that deep sort of comforting breath, like, and then like finishes up with the sweeping and whatnot. And you find your way to Henna's door.
Okay. And I will. You said she's outside.
Yeah, she's out on her stoop, basically sweeping her off her
I'll
stoop.
walk up,
Mhm.
and I'll just come up to her, and I'll be like, "Hey, how are you?"
Oh, Ross, how are you?
Pretty good. I have a question for you, but we should go inside.
Okay, sure. Come on in. I haven't made anything. Are you hungry?
Oh no, I'm good.
Are you sure?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sure.
You
I'm
look
sure.
like you're hungry. Let me just make you something.
Okay, sure.
She goes in and just starts grabbing the food and starts like putting together something while she's talking to you. Do you want some tea?
And you go to grandma's house?
Right, exactly.
Sure, I'll take some tea.
Sure. So she starts steeping a pot of hot water and starts getting, blending the teas together. She has them in these like little dishes, and she starts blending them and then putting them into a little, metal tea bag sort of thing like they had in the 1800s sort of era.
Mm-hmm.
She starts throwing together some food. She's like, well, I've got some leftovers, but this will have to do for now. And she like pulls out, the pots and stuff and is reheating stuff and like, you know how grandmas are, basically.
Right.
Going way overboard on the making sure you're fed, even if you're like, no, I just ate. She's like, no, you're gonna eat, And so, okay. So what did you want to talk to me about? She says while she's prepping the food and getting things together.
I will approach her quietly, and I will open the bag. I'll take the bag in my hand with the powder, and I will show her the bag with the powder. And I got this from Shale.
What is it?
I don't know. I was wondering if maybe you could tell me what it is, because I have no idea where to even start with it.
Can I hold it? She says, reaching out one of her, sort of old wrinkled hands to you. She holds the bag. Oh, it's quite light. I expected it to be heavier. She smells it. Takes a finger. Ugh, that was a bad decision. Ugh. What is that?
I don't know. Someone paid a bag of silver for that.
My tongue is feeling numb. I don't know if that's good. Hopefully it wasn't some sort of poison.
I hope not either.
I've got just the tea for this. And then she goes off and starts blending different tea leaves. She sets the bag down on the counter. I can't say that I know or I'm even familiar with what that is, but do you think it's some sort of drug or something?
It might be. It's from Shale. He purchased it. I followed him. I took it from him. And I know that he's been in this neighborhood. He went to, and I'll give her the address of the place that he went to knock on the door. And he made an exchange with a bag of silver.
Did he?
And
Did you took it from him?
yeah,
Did he say what it was for?
no, I didn't ask him.
I would have liked to have seen that. I sort of presume in my mind probably how that went. That boy's nothing but trouble, you know. Always in here causing problems, always naysaying you. It's just not right. Decent people. Anyways, I can't say that I know, but perhaps Aldo would know.
Okay, let me go ask him.
Sure.
And I'll come back and let you know. Make sure that you take that tea in case it was poison.
Yeah. You better come back for the food. I'm cooking it. She says it, and she gets a really intense face. I'll bring you some over. I'll bring some to Aldo too.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'll see you in a bit. She says, and she keeps
All right.
cooking and stuff.
So I'll go ahead and leave the house, and I will walk down to Aldo's.
Okay. You walk.
Welcome to Grandma's.
Right. You knock on the door, and you hear 1 minute. You hear some slight footsteps, like his feet. Or more like sounds of his feet hitting the ground from his bed, and then you hear and he stands up, and then a sound of like a cane or like a walking stick or something pattering across the floor as you hear his slow lumbering steps. Eventually, the doorknob turns and the old creaky door opens, and Aldo's standing there. He's not really clutching his side anymore. It seems like the pain of the stab has sort of subsided at least a little, or that he's on something maybe. He doesn't seem as sickly or as tired as he did the last time you visited, so it seems like he's been recovering quite well. But you can still tell that there's some soreness and some pain, and you know, even presumably by the way he's using like a walking stick basically to help travel, even just the distance from his bed to his door, which is 15 feet or less, you know.
Right.
He opens the door and he's like, "Oh, Ross, come on in. Come on in."
All right. How you doing? How you feeling?
"Oh, you know, I'm doing better," he says as he goes over and takes a seat. "What do I owe the pleasure to?"
I've been following Shale around to find out what he's up to. And I saw him make an exchange for a bag of silver.
I thought we talked about this,
And-
Ross. I thought we talked about this, though. I thought you were gonna...
Yeah, we
You
did.
were gonna try and avoid all this, whatever trouble this is.
I'm trying to avoid it, but it's looking for me.
Oh.
So I have to handle it.
So you're doing what we talked about, trying to get out ahead of it, kind of a thing.
Right.
Okay, okay. That's fair. I see. Well, let me take a look at this powder or whatever it is.
Yeah. So I'll hand it over.
Okay. You hand it over and he smells it. You said Shale had this?
Yeah.
Smells like some sort of Have you ever been to the mines?
I don't think I have.
So, you know, Duskwall was once a mining town a long time ago. I mean, there's still mining going on, but it's not the booming trade it once was. And, occasionally, miners would get sick, come back up, you know, said they hit some sort of strange bed of rock or different color or whatever. And occasionally, things like this would be found. I've never seen it myself or experienced it. I'm not sure what it comes from either. It's not a stone or a resource I'm familiar with. I mean, presumably people at the schools maybe even studied it or something. But I'm not really one of those, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got it from such and such address.
Oh. That seems like a weird place to be picking up mining dust. There's something different about this, though. Come here. And he grabs one of his candles, You know, because it's like it's like there's daylight and they're coming through the windows, but it's still a little dark in places. He sets the bag down, kind of opens it up a little bit, and then holds the candle real close. And as you look, you notice that as he brings the candle closer to it, there's these tiny little sparkles, almost like light is being reflected, almost like off of glass. And then as the flame flickers for a second, there's a pop, and something sizzles in the thing. And he's like, "Oh, I think I put the candle too close or something."
An explosive device or powder.
Maybe. I'm not too familiar with such things as that, but perhaps. I mean, that stuff's, you know, military and whatnot. Imperial military being what they do, you know, they probably keep this sort of stuff under lock and key, so maybe someone's up to no good. I don't know. But you know how it is.
Okay. Well, this was in Shale's possession.
You think Shale was buying it? Or do you think he was just...
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, do you think he was buying it for himself? Or do you think maybe, you know, he was just being a carrier? You know, I've done that a few times, you know, with a bad rap or whatever. If I can't get, like, a crew job, you know, someone will pay me. They say, take this package from here to there, exchange the thing. And, you know, by the end of it, you know, I make a little bit of money, so... Maybe that was the case. I don't know. What did Chael say when you asked him?
I didn't ask him.
How do you know it was from Chael then?
Because I took it from him.
Are you out there causing trouble with Chael again?
No. I put him to sleep.
Yeah. Well, you know, he probably had it coming, let's be real.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that comes to mind for me. You know, my brother worked in the mines when we were younger. And, you know, so he would tell me about things like this. So maybe it's like that. Maybe it's some sort of explosive material or something. I don't know. Maybe someone wants to do something with it. I don't know. I don't know all that science stuff, though, so I don't know. I mean, maybe it could be used some other way. I'm not the man to ask for sure, but you know.
I was thinking burning down houses or something.
Yeah?
Like Shale was going to use it for burning down houses.
Yeah?
Maybe.
I mean, if it burns hot enough, you could probably use it to light, you know, a building that wouldn't normally burn, you know, because if you throw a torch in, it might go out before it actually burns anything, but you have something like this, and you could probably light a fire pretty hot, that's for sure.
So yeah, I guess I'll have to do a little bit more research on where he was going with that package.
Yeah, just keep an eye on Chael, or have someone keep an eye on him.
Right.
I mean, if he's burning down houses or something like that, like, I don't want it to be your house, okay? Anyways, come over here and give me a hug, he says. You know, he gives you a hug, and...
I give him a hug back.
And then with that, you know, he hands you back the bag, and Henna comes, you know, crashing through the door, food in hand. You weren't trying to leave, were you?
No, not yet. We were waiting
Here.
for you.
She says,
Thank you.
almost like seeming pissed, but not pissed. You know what I mean? Like that sort of playful pissed, as it were. She hands one to Aldo. And you know, he just laughs at the whole thing. He's just sitting there chuckling when she comes in, you know, like a hurricane. And he sits back down. Henna immediately starts going into, you know, grandma mode with Aldo, and like making sure he's eating and taking care of him and checking his bandages and stuff. And he's like, "Well, you be careful out there, Ross. Eat that food though, otherwise Henna over here is probably gonna have your ass."
Yep, I'll start eating it. I don't even respond.
That tea finished steeping, Henna says. If you want to pick some up before you leave. I set a glass out for you. Just grab it from my place. I'm going to stay here with Aldo for a bit, make sure he's okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Be safe out there, okay?
I will. Thank you so much for the food.
No problem. Tell Marlene that those boys she sent, I mean, they weren't boys, I guess they were men, but you know, those boys she sent, they need to stop standing out there and looking at their muscles so much. They should be paying more attention.
I'll let her know.
They're all distracted out there. I was worried, like, what if someone came in and tried to hurt Aldo again?
Right.
Kids these days, you know how it is. and as you leave, you look over at the trainees that Marlene had sent to keep an eye on Aldo's place, and they're kind of like sitting out on the porch area or somewhere out there, and they're sitting there and they're just like, just imagine the Duskwall version of Bros, and that is what you see. Like, the 1800s, they've got the mustache and the muscles, like you would see in those classic, like, circus strongmen. And they're just like, what do you think? What do you think of that? No, what do you think of that? What do you think of that? They're just like getting each other hyped up. And
I'll walk up to them.
Sure. Hey,
you boys.
Hey, Reaper.
Need to
How
be
are
watching.
you? Good to see you.
Not good. You need to be watching and patrolling the neighborhood, not looking at each other's muscles.
Sorry, we're just trying to get our flex on, just like, middle of the day, get that sweat, killing it, And then they immediately like do that high five, like, yeah.
But yeah, get to work.
Oh, okay, Reaper. You got it. You're the boss around here.
Well, Marlene is.
Don't worry,
but...
we got hawk eyes. Eyes like hawks, Fucking eyes like hawks, one says as he starts flexing. Ugh!
Just like
yeah.
that.
Don't worry, we'll keep an eye out. We'll be like, what's going on over there? What's going on? That'll be us. Just, we got it. I'm trying not to break. It's so hard right now. Yeah, but they listen. They, of course, you can see there's a respect in their faces. Like, they're maybe not all there, but they respect you because they know who you are and they know the work you do and like how badass you are in the pits. So they've got that like rookie eyes towards you. They're like, oh, Reaper's so cool. Don't worry, Reaper. We're on the case. We got it, man. We got it. Let's do it. And then they like smack each other hands, and then they sit there and they just start staring opposite directions down the street. Just like, these guys, you're like, are these guys on some sort of drug or something? Like, what is going on? I presume Reaper sort of, begrudgingly is like, okay, well, I hope they got my point there.
They're not going to get my point.
Good work, guys. Keep it up.
Yep.
Keep it up. Maybe we'll talk to Marlene about maybe we should send some smarter rookies, like yeah. Anyways, yeah. So Reaper starts leaving, probably grabs the tea from Henna's house. And where is Reaper now heading?
Reaper is now heading back to Marlene's, to the pits.
Okay. So you continue walking down Wicker Street, heading through the district, and eventually you will find your way to the Dunslow Fighting Pits. And now we will transition to Xylus. Xylus, my man.
What's
Last
up?
we left off, you had a conversation with Clyra. And you had said that you were going to follow the lead. She had shared with you that she was worried about you, that you'd been apparently walking in your sleep, like sleepwalking, saying things. She was worried about you, and she just wanted you to be okay. At that point, you had left, and where was it that you had decided that you were going to go?
So he's going to end up going to find Connor, but before he goes and finds Connor,
Right.
he needs to meet up with Brill.
Brill. Okay. Is this not...
Brill is the dealer.
Oh, right. Yes. Brill. Yes, the dealer. So Brill will say happens to do business in the night market, mostly, being an area of exotic goods and trades. And Brill frequents a couple local haunts, we'll say. A couple of dive bars and things of that nature, places where the finest of individuals aren't going, so it's generally a place where blue coats won't give them any sort of trouble. And he finds himself in night market outside of one of these haunts, goes looking inside for Brill, and sees them sitting over at a booth in a sort of darkened corner. They're sitting there with a mug of something, a glass of something, and they are engaged in a conversation with a person sitting in that booth with them.
I'll wait my turn.
Okay. After you wait for a few minutes, finally the person they exchange something on the table, kind of like, super on the sly. There's this sort of like he puts something forward, the other person puts something forward, they just kind of do that. They shake hands. The person gets up and walks away. You start to walk towards Brill at that point, I presume. Mm-hmm. Brill, by the way, for those to introduce the character, is a man from the Dagger Isles. He has like extremely dark black hair that he has cut and is sort of like combed back and very nice back behind. Think of almost like a pompadour kind of thing. He has very, very fine, well-kept facial hair that comes down across his face in a very thin line and then sort of goes up for a goatee that is also well-kept. He wears very, very nice clothing. Not like nobility level, like crazy accoutrement and the ruffles and all those things, but he wears very, very nice clothing for the age. A very nice suit. Today he happens to be wearing a powder blue bright suit. And he is sitting there drinking from his glass, and looks up and sees you, and his eyes get big for a second, and he seems like he's about to get up and like leave.
I'll hold up a coin purse.
He gives you like a head nod, like, come on over.
And I will sit down.
Never thought I'd see your face around here.
I didn't expect to be here.
I know we got history, but I just want to be real with you. Unless the pay's good, you should walk out the door right now.
He'll move the satchel over to Brill.
He takes it, opens it, counts it. Pretty serious purse you got here.
Believe that covers about half of what I owe you.
Interest, my friend, interest.
A third of what I owe you.
Sure, we can call it a third. I'm fine with that. How about,
I need more of the stuff.
More of the stuff.
It's not working anymore.
The sleeping draughts?
Apparently I'm waking up in the middle of the night screaming like a madman.
Well, I could have told you that was eventually going to happen. But that's just you. Can't run from your ghosts, Carver. They're always there, haunting you. Like a whisper on the wind. I got something a little more powerful, but I don't know if it's your speed.
I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
And Carver will take off 2 rings
Mm-hmm.
and slide those over to the other side of the table.
I will warn you, though, friend. A man with a mind such as yours, there's a chance that the things that this does for others may not be the thing it does for you. You may want to try a small amount first. And if that doesn't work, maybe up the dose. I wouldn't do more than 3 droplets a night. You go above that and I can't tell you what's going to happen. I can just say it'll be fun for a while, but where you'll end up won't be so great. And he pulls out this like little tincture bottle, like with, you know, like a little eyedropper thing connected to it, and he slides it across the table to you, taking the rings. Bites onto one. You're a man of class, Carver. You should dress more like it. Look at these rings. My offer of being business partners is still extended to you.
What's the proposition?
The same proposition I've offered you a million times. You come work for me, help me with my business here. I pay you well. You sleep like a baby. I know you have apprehensions, Carver. For the sort of work I do and the people I work with, I get it. They're not really your speed, but you gotta do what you can to make a coin in this city. And sometimes it means making deals with the wrong sorts. But the offer's still on the table.
Well, how about this? I'll work for you, do a few jobs, clear off my debt, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Sure. When can you start?
I got some things to wrap up tonight, but I can start tomorrow.
Okay. Let me see that shining face bright and early tomorrow. I'll tell you the job. I got something you could do for me tonight if you would. Make it worth your while. Maybe get these rings back.
What's the job?
I need you to deliver a message for me.
What kind of
A
message?
very private message, we'll say.
And how is this message supposed to be delivered?
He reaches into his pocket and pulls out an envelope. Message is there. It goes to a very specific person that paid a hefty price for some information. If you open that envelope, or I hear that you opened that envelope, and I will know, and it didn't go into the hands of the person it's meant to, our deal is off, friend. Are you good with that? Simple walk to the other side of town, that's all I'm asking. It's just, you know, the sort of busy work that I can't do myself when I'm being a man of the night market, as it were.
Who's it going to?
A woman by the name of Marlene. She's a trainer in the pits. She paid me a hefty sum for some information. I got a bead on something, but it's for her eyes only.
I've seen her once or twice. I'll make sure it gets to her.
He takes the rings, passes them back to you, takes a bit of the silver out and puts it on the table. A show of good faith for you, friend. That's just a taste. Soon you won't have to worry about bags of silver like this. You'll be living like a king.
Hope so.
Okay. With that, we will transition now to Doug's character, Blinder. Blinder has now spent some time with Mercy. They had gotten a meal. They had been eating mostly in silence, I presume.
Yeah.
Especially at first, you can tell that Mercy doesn't try to push Blinder to say anything. You can tell that she's comfortable in silence, like it's not an issue for her. You can see that there's some sort of stress riding on her shoulders, like she's holding a great burden of some type, but it doesn't seem like it has anything to do with you specifically, like she's lost in thought. She's unaware of what is unawares of what is around her, in that same way that you had expressed that Blinder can be like, where he's not really paying attention to what's happening around him. He's sort of lost in thought. You can see that same sort of thing kind of happening with Mercy. Like, you're both just sitting there in your own minds. Go ahead though.
Yeah, Blinder just respects the silence, and he only really opens his mouth. He's wolfing down food because he hasn't eaten in quite some time. The last thing he had to drink was at the bar, presumably the other day. Yeah. And so he's just eating it, like ravenously, but in complete silence. Yeah. Occasionally, glancing up to kind of, read what's on Mercy's face, but not really just respecting the space.
Yeah,
essentially.
Sure. Mercy sits in that silence with you, and minutes pass by. You're hungrily scarfing down your food. Mercy's sort of like picking at it and eating. Like, she's hungry, but she's not like scarfing it down like you. She pushes a cup across the sort of bench, we'll say like side park bench sort of thing near this food vendor they have set out there. She scoots it down the bench towards you. It's a simple, like mead or something of that variety. Something they would sell with the food they served.
He'll go to subconsciously reach for like a napkin or something like that, but finding nothing there, because presumably it's just a wooden bench or a simple table that we're eating on. Mm-hmm. And then grab his stinky jacket and wipe his face off
on the jacket. Okay.
Almost embarrassingly. Okay. Like, he's just like, and then
she reaches into a pocket and then hands him a handkerchief. It's actually quite clean. It's a little damp from rain, but it's still clean.
Look at it like a foreign object for a second, like he's been caught. And then reach out and wipe, his face off, and then take a drink, clear his throat. So,
Blinder, being an observant man, notices that there's initials on the handkerchief.
What are the initials?
MM, finely embroidered on it. It seems like at one point it was a perfectly white handkerchief, very nice. But, it's seen time and age. You can tell that Mercy keeps care of it, though. Like, she cares for it in some way, some sort of connection or something. But it's a handkerchief, so she doesn't quite mind too much.
While he's speaking, he'll study the handkerchief a little bit in more fine detail, like trying to figure out what it's.
It's made of extremely fine fabrics. It's expensive. The handkerchief itself probably costs more money than you've had in weeks or seen, and all of your things put together. Someone spent some coin on this small portion of cloth. It's a fine Eruvian silk that has been hand embroidered with this simple crest with two M's in it side by side.
I'll hand it back to her. So, tell me more about your friend. Wants to know about this Ezra person.
Honestly, I haven't seen my friend for a few days. It feels like longer. Probably has been longer. I don't know. The days have melded into one another. Last him and I talked, he was going to lay low for a while like I asked him to, but I've heard here and there that people have seen him at different parts of the city. And I've been looking for him, but I haven't been able to find him. He's always seemingly 1 step, 2 steps ahead of me. I know he has a connection that goes a ways back in Dunslow. And so I just couldn't remember the person's name. I think they work near the pits or at the pits. I don't remember their name, but I think I remember their face. I saw them once talking to my friend, and pretty sure I would recognize them if I saw them again.
Pardon me, I'm a little confused. You wanted to find this Ezra person because your friend, who you do not know the whereabouts of.
I think my friend is looking for this Ezra person. I think my friend is looking for whoever this Ezra guy is, or whatever his name is, and I think he got mixed up in something way, way up the chain, if you know what I mean. And I'm just worried for my friend's life because other people that I've heard that have gone looking for this guy have completely disappeared, just gone, vanished, not seen.
To go looking for Ezra.
Yes.
Have disappeared.
Yes. I've been looking into this for some time, a few weeks now, off and on. Let's just say, without getting too far into it, my career, I tend to interact with spooky sorts, shall we say. And,
You speak of the dead.
no, not the dead. I mean, those who take life for a living.
See. I am keenly interested in finding your friend now. If they are missing, I believe they may know why. Uncovering his whereabouts may elucidate for me why Mr. Ezra is seeming to attract a lot of negative attention.
I honestly don't care about this Ezra guy. Honestly, I feel like it's a whole big pile of shit. It's something way up the food chain, and the problem with a city like Duskwall is you reach too far up, and you get squashed. And I don't want to get squashed, and I don't want my friend to get squashed either.
Yes, that is quite the case. Let us. I'm full, and you have. I do not think I will need a meal for quite some time. I no longer feel the impulse to feed myself or let's go handle the situation. I maybe we can locate this person for you, and I can help them with their search.
Sure. So you and Mercy go walking through Dunslow. You eventually, in time, find yourself at the fighting pits. You see all sorts of people engaged in watching a fight going on. There's a big Akarosian man, a long goatee kind of thing coming down, braided hair through the middle, big braid in the front, and he's standing at the edge and he's screaming someone on, screaming a name, and you see his arm is in a sling. There's there's all sorts of big, very burly people who are probably like fighters themselves but are watching the specific match. And you see a woman standing in the midst of the pit, beset by 3 other individuals who are all trying to attack her, not like with knives, but like fight her. And she's fending off all 3 of them, like simultaneously. Like, one comes in for a punch, she deflects the punch, pushes him to the ground. The next guy comes in, she drops her back, rolling him over the back and tripping him. You can tell that she's toying with them. And then as you get closer, you start to hear the chant. They're like, "Yeah, go rookies, come on, you can do it." And people are laughing and having a good time. There doesn't seem to be any betting going on. Like, it seems like this is some sort of community thing. Like, perhaps maybe the pits themselves don't really do betting and stuff till later in the night. So perhaps this is just them playing around or something. You're not quite sure.
Are they? Okay, look, like, obviously not in my element, sure, right? Are they trying to kill each other and they're betting over it?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. Let's go look, says Mercy. You go walking up towards the place. You guys peek in over the crowd and around the crowd to a vast pit beset by logs, 8 feet deep, sand in the bottom, 2 ladders on either side, and a large ramp that goes in, made of wood, into it with a big gate in front of it, so that people can't fall out of the pit. And, people are in the ramp watching. People are around the logs watching. A couple of seasoned fighters are even standing on the ladder themselves, like feet on the ladder, and they're just chilling there, It definitely seems like it's an unofficial sort of thing. And, at one point, the woman standing in the middle, who seems to be a woman probably in her late 40s, very, very, in shape, you can tell, very muscular, short hair, tattoos across their body, is just toying with him. At one point, she has 2 of them in a headlock, and then she kicks one, and then when he comes back at her, she jumps in the air and grabs his head with her legs, falling into the sand, and then drags him down. And now she's got 2 guys in headlocks in the sand with her, and she's got 1 guy in it in like a headlock with her legs, and she's just like, "Do you give up yet?" And she's just laughing and having a good time, and they're like sitting there squirming and trying to get out, and they just can't seem to beat her. Everyone's cheering and having a good time. And I don't think they're betting. I think that woman is... I would obviously bet on the woman, says Mercy.
It seems they get entertainment out of publicly humiliating each other.
And maybe it's like like hazing or something.
No. I don't think so. It seems like they're actually genuinely having fun.
It's not a real bad thing. A little fun helps fill the time.
Well, this is a distraction, isn't it? Let's... Who should we talk to here?
Oh, I found the woman I was looking for.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it's her. She says as she points down into the pit at the woman in there fighting.
You think she is the person that we're going to have to talk to?
Oh, well, I recognize her as the person that knew my friend.
And if... Well, my only concern is that if this person is somehow...
Hold up 1 second. Mercy says and cuts you off. Hey! And she like smacks a dude. And he's like, "What? What's that woman's name?" And the guy's like, "Oh, that's Marlene. She's a trainer around here." And Mercy's like, "Oh, okay, thank you. Yep, I'm pretty sure that's her. I think it was a name like that. It was like Marlene, something like..." Yeah, I think...
I see.
Yeah. What were you saying? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
That's nothing. It's quite fine. I just start looking towards the exits.
So, for the first time, 3 of the characters are in the same place. Carver is standing, of course, envelope in hand, at the side of the pit, presumably having asked around if they knew a Marlene, and they pointed into the pit, and they're like, "That's her down there." And Reaper sits waiting, and Mercy sits waiting, all together at the same time. Not together, but mutually nearby, sit waiting for Marlene to finish the fight. And as she goes through the throes of, handing the rookies their ass, she eventually finishes and everyone cheers, and then she holds up the hands of the rookies like, yeah, and then they all find their way out of the pit, and the crowd starts to sort of peter out, and other fighters head back to training and stuff like that. Marlene comes climbing up the ladder, or that's right next to Reaper, and she looks up at you. Hey. You're back, Reaper. What's going on?
Oh, not much. Been scoping out some things.
Okay.
How was the fight?
Oh, you saw it. Come on. We got to give the rookies a hard time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have something to talk to you about a bit later, more in private.
Sure.
I have something to show you.
Okay.
But, yeah. When you get a moment.
Yeah, no problem. Well, she turns her head and looks down the street. Or not the street, but around the edge of the fighting pit.
Yeah. What's wrong?
She leans in real close. Remember how I told you that I was asking around trying to get information? Remember how I said the wrong sort of people might hear I was asking for that information? I think one of those people might have come this direction.
I'll turn to look where she was looking.
Lithe girl, dirty clothes, with that haggard-looking guy over there. They're sitting there. She's trying to pretend like she's not looking over here, but she is. Occasionally.
Okay. I'm gonna go. I'll be right back.
That's what Reaper says? Okay.
Yeah.
Xylus, you're about to say something? What are you about to say?
Yeah, I'll walk over as soon as she's not engaged. And
see, she was talking to a woman who also, very muscular, very well built, who is a Ruvian descent. They have a brief conversation, and then the Ruvian woman starts walking away towards another.
You Marlene?
Yes, I am. Can I help you with something?
Brill sends me with message.
Okay.
And I'll hold up the envelope. This is for you and you alone.
She'll take the envelope. Just wait here a minute. He'll probably want a response. And she opens up the envelope, stepping away a little bit, and then pulls out what looks like papers inside and starts looking through papers and clippings. There are newspaper clippings inside. Can you just wait a minute? Like, I need to check something. Are you good with that?
I'm fine
I have
with
something that I want to send back to him. I mean, I don't know if he paid you to bring back a message or not, but worst case, I'll just pay you for it. Okay.
I'll wait.
So, Reaper goes walking over towards the woman.
Okay. I will walk right up to them.
Okay.
Hold out my hand for a handshake.
Okay. The woman reaches out. I've heard of you, she says as she reaches out her hand. You're a Reaper, right?
I'm Reaper, and I'll shake her hand vigorously.
Okay. She's like just standing there like, like it wasn't expecting. Okay. This is Blinder. Blinder, Reaper, Blinder.
I'll offer my hand.
We need to talk to Marlene if we could.
Oh, I know. I came over here to escort you over there.
Oh. Okay.
Do we need an escort?
No, but it looked like you weren't going to initiate contact yet.
Oh. Of course, yes. Thank you.
So, Mercy will sort of give that, like, lead the way sort of thing.
All right. I'll walk up to Marlene. And now, Xylus's character.
Xylus, you see the Aruvian woman, another woman who seems somewhat Aruvian, like perhaps mix between Agarosian and Aruvian, and a large Scovelander who's dirty as fuck come walking over towards Marlene. Marlene looks at them.
I'll pull my hood up somewhat
Mm-hmm.
to try and hide my Taikarosi traits.
Okay. Blinder, when you see his face, you recognize his face. You recognize Carver's face. You've seen him before in a newspaper clipping. He's a man who went missing some weeks ago and is presumed dead. You saw it in an obituary, having, pulled through newspapers and things of that nature over the weeks, trying to find any hints of clues of things, strange occurrences that you've been hunting down in your investigation of the things that transpired. And you remember his face being attached to an obituary. A picture of him, obviously younger. Like there's obviously some years different, maybe some facial hair difference and stuff, but he seems like the same person, or maybe a brother of that person, something of that variety. Does Blinder just not say anything, just stares? Or anything of that nature?
Blinder doesn't
respond to it? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, well, he doesn't. He's actually actively not trying to meet the person's face.
Okay.
Like he's just like, and he's kind of actually stepped behind Mercy, since Reaper has led him over. Kind of judging the position. He basically he looks like he's about ready to be attacked.
Oh, sure.
So he's just kind of like.
Carver recognizes Blinder's face. He's not sure where from, but he has that sort of like familiar face. Like I swear I've seen you before. Like you don't know a name associated with it or something. It just seems familiar. He has a very, very familiar face, something about him. Even under the grime and the haggard, there's something about his face that you're like, I feel like I've, that sort of thing in your head where you're like, I feel like I've seen this person before. Like, where do I know them from? Kind of a thing.
When he starts feeling like he might recognize this person, his first reaction is going to be to not make eye contact, not look at this guy. There's nothing good that can come from this.
Yeah.
Nobody look at each other.
Yeah, don't look at each other.
Memories of middle school.
Yeah, right. So, Blinder hiding behind Mercy. Carver sheepishly looking away. Mercy has this look, gives you both this look, like looks at Blinder, looks at Carver, looks at. You guys go on a bad date or something? What's your deal?
Oh, sorry.
It's rude to stare.
Me? Mercy says.
Yes. It is quite rude to stare.
I don't stare at people.
And then he'll just kind of clam up.
Blinder, as he peeks towards Carver for one last time, swears he sees some motion out of the side, like the peripheral of his vision, and he sees something sweep past Carver very quickly, almost like it's ducked behind him. Something very small, something almost ethereal in a way, like the way that it moves seems like it moved by so quickly you couldn't even see the actual outline or shape. It was just a motion that happened. But you see that he's standing, probably hands resting together. It obviously wasn't him, and it was too big to be like a bug or something like that. It was obviously some sort of humanoid shape went rushing past him. But you notice as you sort of might look towards it for a second, in that direction, that there was nothing there. There's no person there. It's just you standing here currently. All the fighters are off doing other things.
What's the sense I get from the, is there like a chill that goes that accompanies this site, or is,
Yes.
because it seems pretty spooky.
It's
okay.
Yes, there's this sort of the hair on the back of your neck stands up. There's this chill. It almost feels like the temperature drops slightly for a second as you realize that sort of fight or flight reflex that happens when someone gets spooked sort of starts to hit your system.
I'll tap Mercy on the shoulder and then look at Mercy and then Reaper. I was like, can we proceed with this, please, quite quickly? I'll look Mercy dead in the eyes. Like, I'm not getting a good feeling currently about this. Like, trying to imply that to Mercy that there's might be some sort of danger. Like a wink, nod. I'm not getting a good feeling about this.
In that moment, when you're saying that, you for a second see the motion again, and then you look over, and standing next to Carver, who, are you okay with me saying that Carver has his arms sort of resting at his side for a moment? Like maybe he's like shaking out his hands or whatever. He has his arms resting at his side, just sort of waiting for all of this to transpire. You look over and you see the same little girl that you saw the night of the attack, where you found the man stabbed, and there was the girl that walked into the alleyway and asked you why you didn't help them. You see the same little girl standing slightly behind Carver, who you don't know his name yet, but standing slightly behind him, and she has her hand reached up, and she's almost like kind of holding his hand, but you see that there's no actual contact, almost like he doesn't even register that it's there. He doesn't know what's going on. That the shape sort of solidifies for a second, almost like it's there, but it's not there, like it's mist, or it's an illusion, or it's a mirage or something. No one else seems to notice it, that chill still overtaking you. You start to hear whispering in your ears, like someone is standing next to you, and there is a brief moment where you start to hear like laughing in the distance, like someone is running by and laughing off around you, but not in like a evil laugh or any sort of malintent. It's sort of this cheerful laughing, but at the same time there's still this unease to it in a way.
It's pretty creepy.
Yeah. You see this for a second, and as you see it out of the corner of your eye and you see the shape, you look over, and as you look over, the girl just looks at you for a second and then looks up at Carver and then just disappears and is gone.
Is it cold in here?
Yeah, that's actually exactly, yeah, sure.
No, sorry, I actually did shiver.
Oh, well, that was perfect timing for your character, because all of a sudden a
roll
cold wind hits you, and there's that kind of like, oh, maybe I should button up my jacket sort of thing, right? You hear whispering for a second as well, Carver, by the way. There's that whispering slowly on the distance.
I'll just kind of like look around, just kind of keeping in a general awareness.
Mm-hmm.
I'll look directly at Carver.
Mm-hmm.
What's your name?
My name?
Her. Yes, your name. Sorry.
I'm Carver.
You
And you are?
You could call me Mr. Blinder or Blinder.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Blinder. Are you all right?
Yes, I'm quite fine. Quite fine. I'm not accustomed to just this.
It's a lot of noise, I understand.
Yes. And sweat. Yes, lots of sweat. We were here waiting. He'll look to Reaper on this woman. The point in where, if is Marlene within visual?
Her and Reaper are off talking for a second.
Oh, they're off. They're off talking
Yeah,
separately.
yeah.
Okay.
Which I'll
we-
get to
we-
that scene here in a second. Once we, I didn't want to interrupt
Well-
your guys' scene.
we're we're just waiting. Are you waiting for Miss I don't know her name.
Marlene.
Miss Marlene, yes. Are you also here to see Miss Marlene?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Well, I guess we'll wait together.
Are you?
Nope, I am fine.
No. I was gonna say you seem familiar. Have we met?
Familiar? No, I wouldn't say so. That would be quite impossible. So I guess we're just gonna sit there,
Yeah.
basically just kind of
At that point,
at
yeah.
each
At
other
that point, in
awkwardly.
that awkward staring and introduction, we move over to Reaper, who has approached Marlene, and presumably this time you've shown. You said, Marlene, I needed to chat with you, and so Marlene takes you aside for a second, and it says, "Is it like an emergency, or what's going on?"
No, it can wait. Are they out of eyesight for most people, or?
Who? Oh, you and Reaper and Marlene?
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
mean, there's the other people nearby that seem like they're waiting on Marlene, you know?
Okay. Yeah, let's wait till we have a more private moment.
Okay.
Probably somewhere more discreet.
I was told. I need to check something actually, real quick. Marlene looks over and steps over to Mercy and is like, "You're Mercy, right?" And Mercy's like, "Yes, I am." And then Marlene's like, "I'm looking for Martin. Do you know where he is?" And Mercy's like, "I am also looking for Martin and was going to ask you the same question." Shit. Marlene at this point is like, I need to find him. Apparently he has something that would be helpful. Some pocket watch or something of that nature. Could you find him for me and bring him back, maybe? And Mercy's like, sure. I mean, I'm already trying to find him, but yeah, okay. Where was he? They go off and start talking. Marlene pulls out some notes and some things like that, and then Mercy looks at a few clippings and things like that, and it's like, oh, like they have this conversation, and then Mercy comes back, and Marlene heads back over to Reaper, and it's like, well, I think we're done here. Oh wait, I need to write that letter. This might take me a bit, Marlene says, speaking to Carver. I don't presume you want to wait around all day.
I can transcribe if you need to.
It's not that. I have a few things that I need to look into first before I give him a response. How about I just have someone else send the letter later or something like that? I mean, it's really up to you. I presume, if you work for Brill, you probably have other things he wants you to do, so.
Just let him know that I delivered the letter and that I did not open the letter.
Of course. Of course, yeah, I'll let him know that. So Mercy comes back over to Blinder and is like, I think I might know the area of town he's in. Marlene found something, and I think if we head to maybe, I was thinking Char Hollow, that's what Marlene is thinking, we might be able to hunt down a lead there. I don't know, though. I told him to lay low, and the path I've been following, I mean, this is the best lead I have right now, so I guess we just follow it through.
We work with what we have until we find something else.
Yes.
Yes, quite. So, shall we
Yeah, sure.
go?
Um,
Um,
oh, go
Mr.
ahead.
Carver, pleasure. Uh, yes. Nice meeting you, Mr. Carver. Have a good, yeah, good day, sir.
Nice meeting you too.
You kind of like awkwardly walk off.
I'll stop him for a second after a couple seconds of
Yeah.
him walking away. I'll put my hand on his shoulder and if you need something for those jitters, you might want to go and talk to Brill.
Who is Brill?
He'll set you up.
It is merely just a lack of comfort with my surroundings. Last couple of days have been hard.
Brill likes to deal in things that make people more comfortable with their surroundings.
I see.
It's not for everybody, but if you find yourself in need, just tell Brill that Carver sent you.
I find I already have a place. Thank you. Just not enough prerequisite currency to afford such pleasures at this moment. But you may, and I'll lean really close, and even Mercy can't hear. You have something on your back, friend. I have a unresolved spiritual nature. I would seek out something. It could yes. Yeah. You may want to look into it.
Oh. And Carver's just kind of shocked at that. He's very visibly rattled by your words and kind of steps back a little bit and then very quickly rushes off and leaves.
Okay. While we were this close, did I notice whether or not you were Taikarosi, do you think?
It's in his eyes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
For those of you that don't know, Taikarosi, in the world of Blades in the Dark, Taikarosi are a people from a far-off land that are said to have been, in their ancestry, the children of human and demons, basically creating families and interbreeding. And so all Taikarosi people have some sort of feature about them that isn't regular for humans to have. So, for example, Carver, Xylus' character, has eyes. If you want to describe your character's eyes, Carver.
He has cat-like eyes of an unusual color. Not going to describe what that color is.
Oh, sure, yeah, but it's like it's big and it's vibrant and it,
Yeah.
you know, and there are people
It's
who are
off-putting.
Yes, it's off-putting. Taikarosi are considered by some to be superstitious, by others to be considered demons. The untrusted, the evil, that sort of thing. There's an aspect of the culture that hasn't quite accepted the Taikarosi as a people yet, and it's an ongoing issue, like you'll find in the world. With that, though, because we are getting so close to the end, I want to move to Ryan and get into that scene really quick here. So, after waiting for hours, eventually another person shows up in street clothes, etc., walks inside. The only other person that you've seen walk inside the patrol station other than Bluecoats themselves walks inside, is in there for a few minutes, drops something off, it seems like, drops something on the counter, and then after a conversation, a handshake, walks out. Not but 10, 15 minutes later, you see Chael walking out of the patrol building.
About fucking time. I was getting bored.
You've been like, you've been sitting there like flipping your cup and like just fucking bored out of your mind.
You're just kind of sitting over there, check
You've
my
gone
watch.
through it
know,
started with, I'll just have one beer. 4 beers later, kind of a thing, right?
You're like, God damn it! All right.
Yeah.
Leave the appropriate amount of change to pay for the food,
Sure.
and begin stalking this gentleman, keeping a safe enough distance as to not be seen, although I'm very large and fairly unstealthy. Because I got 0 dots in prowl, so I have no idea how to be stealthy because I'm large, and but keeping an appreciable distance so like my footsteps can't easily be heard, and trying to stay behind big enough objects to hide my frame, and just trying to follow him, see where he goes.
He starts heading. One second here. He starts heading towards the district of town known as Coleridge. He is slowly moving that direction, though, and it takes some time. Coleridge being the area, it was the site of the first permanent settlement here at the river Delta. It's where the original mine was built, which is what the ancient Scove Kingdom, what that it was named for. The city of Duskwall is Scoveland for the Scoves coal. So it was, traditionally, and then eventually Duskwall became the name, and now people sort of slang term it to Duskwall. But there still is a mine there, and he seems to be heading in that direction. Slowly but surely, and you're following him through streets, through different districts of town until he eventually finds himself in Coleridge.
Right. Does he make any notable stops along the way, or is he just trudging his way that direction?
He's just trudging his way that direction. Eventually, he stops and pulls out some silver and pays a cabbie to basically take him. He doesn't walk the whole distance. He probably walks for 10 minutes until he gets to a major thoroughfare, and then finds a cabbie, pays a cabbie, and hops up in the back of a goat-drawn cab. By the way, in this world, the workhorses of the world are these big Akarosian goats that are the size of horses. So most most labor animals in this world are in fact giant goats. So I hope you enjoy that fact. A little factoid for you.
Nice.
So he is in the back of a cab. A cabbie, like a wagon sort of thing with seats in it and whatnot, being pulled by a goat and the driver, and they are heading towards Coleridge.
Right. Well, I suppose I need to be able to keep up with him, so I will try and flag down a cab for myself.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And I will say, if you wouldn't mind, that cab up there, if we can go wherever they're going and not be obtrusive, I would be appreciative, and I will throw down 3 times the amount of change necessary for the ride.
Gabby looks at you, looks at the coin, picks it up, puts it in his pocket, and he's like, I get you, fella. And then,
thank you, sir.
Once you take a seat, and off goes the goat. Let the goat race begin. So you work your way through town until you eventually, you're going through it, and eventually you find yourself in Coleridge, in a section of Coleridge near the old mining, because there's different areas that they've mined and stuff, near more of an abandoned area of mining where some work is still done, but the vast majority of mining isn't been done, especially with the, the Sparkrite technology and the use of ectoplasmic as fuel. Mining has fallen off. Coal is not the primary source of fuel anymore. Instead, other resources like silver and gold and other precious metals and etc. are what they're actually trying to find these days, right? Because those are things still of rather great value.
Right.
But they'll take the coal where they can, basically.
Right. Well, I'm not going to follow him into the mine proper.
He's not going into a mine. He's going into buildings that are near an older mining entrance, kind of a thing, old
Okay.
what might have been the offices of the miners, like kind of like a check-in station or something. You know, they put on their hats and they'd get ready, and then they'd walk out to the elevator that was 50 yards away or whatever, and down the old rickety elevator or old ladder or whatever they would go. You know.
Okay. Well, I will. Let's see. I'll wait for him to get into one of the buildings.
Okay.
And like, if he's in there for more than like a minute,
Mm-hmm.
I just walk in and open the door.
Oh yeah, he's in there for more than a minute.
Yeah. Well, I go in and I'm opening the door loudly, obtrusively, as to make a forceful break in whatever conversation is going on.
You walk in. There's no one else in the room other than Chael, who is sitting basically on a little like cot, old cot, a few blankets on it, and he's sitting there just laying against the wall. You can see that there's like a kind of like opium pipe next to him that seems to be sizzling some sort of smoke, as though he had done that, and he's just sitting there like eyes rolled into the back of his head.
I will carefully and methodically find all of the opium that he has there.
Okay. It's in
will
like a
bundle
little
it up.
baggie right next to the pipe, basically.
Yeah. Well, I just pick it up,
Mm-hmm.
pocket that,
Mm-hmm.
look at his opium rig.
Mm-hmm.
I can't take a man's vice. Puts the bag back down. Kind of look at him, like kind of snap in front of his face.
His eyes kind
he-
of like blink, and he like barely has his eyes open as he's looking at you. Yeah, again.
Yes, me again, but now you're in really no shape to talk to me.
Yeah, right.
I don't know exactly what you're tied
He
up
goes
in.
over and like you can see there's like a journal sort of thing nearby, and he picks it up and grabs like a writing charcoal thing, and he's like writing something, and then he shows it to you. It says, "What do you want?"
I want to find Amanda Aglet, or whoever took her. She is very dear to me.
Underneath, it says, "The girl that was taken from Char Hollow?" Question mark.
Yes, her.
It says, what's it worth to you?"
And I'll just look at him, look him up and down, look at his opium pipe. What's it worth to you to keep breathing, to keep taking this opium?
You kill me, you don't get anything.
Oh, my dear boy. There are so many bones in the human body that can deal with breakage before you die. Do you really want to go down that route? And seeing as you have a broken jaw, your ability to scream is going to be very limited.
It says, "How will I tell you anything if you remove my only way to communicate?"
Who says I'm starting with your hands? Your toes, they crush very nicely.
Martin is a sick fuck.
Yes,
I
he
kinda
is.
like it though.
The digit smash.
Yeah, the digit smash. Jesus.
Like, don't make me find a ball peen hammer.
Holy moly, this got real. At that, he just like looks at you, and his eyes are just slowly getting as wide as they can, under the haze of drugs.
And I start looking around. Do I see anything here necessary, the useful that I could use to, Is there a hammer?
Oh, it's a
anywhere?
mining check-in station. Like there's tools, old tools, or at least parts of tools, things like that. Yeah.
Is there a set of pliers?
I don't know if pliers necessarily.
Okay. Well, I will grab just like a heavy blunt object
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of like pick it up and let just the weight of it fall onto a desk.
Mm-hmm.
Crack. That'll do quite nicely, I think. How about you? And at this point, I would like to make a command roll.
Okay, sure. He was about to. Sure, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I got 2 dice for that. I got a 3 and a 5.
Mixed success. So, what is it that you're commanding him to do?
Tell me everything you know about the disappearance of Amanda Aglin.
Oh, okay. So that's what you basically drop it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that'll do nice. So why don't you tell me about and then you go
Exactly.
you go into the thing. At that
Exactly.
point, the mixed success. You drop the hammer. You say your bit. Maybe you pick it back up, and as you look down for a second to pick it back up, as you come up, you hear the cocking of a gun, and he's holding a pistol at you.
At this point, I will spend two stress to use not to be trifled with.
Okay.
Which says I can do one of the following: perform a feat of physical force that verges on superhuman,
Mm-hmm.
or engage a small gang on equal footing in close combat.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to do the feat of strength, and with thumb and forefinger, like I grab dude's nose with,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to pinch the barrel of the gun shut.
It's not close enough to you for you to do that.
Oh, it's
No,
not?
because remember, he's like laying on a bed, and you're a few steps away. Yeah, and so like you can now take an action to get the gun from him. I'm totally fine with that. I'm just saying that like you can't immediately just pinch it. You know what I mean? Like he's a little distance away from you. Because I presume that you weren't like dropping the hammer on the bed, right? You were like in the open area, or did I misunderstand?
Well, it wasn't dropping it out of my hand. It's like just letting the weight of the thing carry my arm down to make a clatter on whatever object
sure,
it is. So
okay.
I'm still holding the
Sure.
the
Yeah.
hammer.
If you wanna reach out and try and like pinch the gun,
Yeah. Well, if necessary, I will kind of do a little bit of a roll move because I feel that he's intoxicated and he's not going to be able to shoot me.
I'm gonna be real though. Like the amount of like pinching metal in this way is definitely a feat of superhuman strength. And by spinning the stress, you're able to do so. But I am still going to say that if your hope is to specifically pinch the end of the barrel because it's a specific point, I would say that this would be the term not reckless. How am I not remembering it again? Desperate. It would be a desperate action. If you want to just grab the whole of the gun itself and just crunch it, I'd be good with that because it's easier to grab the whole gun, you know what I mean, and control it. So I'm totally fine with that. I'm just saying like it's going to affect
I thought he was close enough.
he
was like,
he is, but I'm like, you're not standing over him, you know what I mean? You're standing
that's fine.
near him.
That's fine.
So,
then it'll just be a reach forward and just crunch.
Yeah. So if you were going, and it's only because you're going for the end of the barrel that it makes it a weaker position, so that people are aware. The mechanics in this game, the way it works is when you go to roll, you have a position and then an effect, right? And so you either have a controlled position, which is the best position, like a sniper in a roost holding their shot. You have a risky position, which is the standard position, and then you have a desperate position, which is basically you're trying something that, you know, it's the haymaker, it's the Hail Mary, it's the hoping for the best sort of thing, right? And then you have an effect. Usually you can you can reduce your position to gain more effect, but sometimes the negative consequences or whatever can also affect your position based on the roll. So just so everybody understands what we're talking about, so you're not like they're speaking gibberish, right? We're basically just discussing what sort of action this might be for Martin, so we can appropriately gauge what the consequences might be if he fails or something like that, right? So I would say if you're going to go for no, you don't have to apologize at all. Like, we're all learning here. Like, you guys are learning the game. The audience is learning the game. So these are great conversations to have. So it would be a desperate action to specifically do the 2-finger pinch thing on the barrel. But it's totally just a risky or standard action to just grab the gun crunching it, gaining control of it. I'm totally fine with that. I'm just saying the
Okay.
style points make it harder, if you know what I mean.
Right. 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 At this point, I'm not going for style.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
going for
Oh yeah, sure.
effectiveness.
Then yeah, it's just gonna be risky with a great effect because you used your power. Right.
Right. Is it still a roll?
Yes, it is still. It's a new
Okay.
challenge basically. So go ahead.
Rec.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a rec skill of 2.
Sure. Would you like to spend stress to add more dice or take a devil's bargain?
Why not? I'll take the devil's bargain, and if it happens, the gun goes off, maybe I get grazed, maybe I get shot, I don't know. But otherwise, the gun goes off, and it would let other people know that something's going on.
Yeah, I like that. I was actually about to say something similar. So yeah, perfect. I love that devil's bargain. So
Okay.
yeah, go ahead and gain another dice.
Sweet. 3, 4, and a 6.
Ooh, nice. So that is a full success, no negative. Other than the devil's bargain, of course, because you took it. So you reach down, the gun goes off, you grab it in time to force the gun away from where it's going to shoot you. There's a crunch and a bend, to it. Now you've impacted the side of it. Yeah. But the gun shoots through the window, the glass window on one side, shattering the glass. And it is loud, especially in the room that you're in. It's very, very loud.
Mm-hmm.
But you've now gotten the gun away. At this point, you've wrenched it from his hand, and now he's finally realizing that he's basically helpless. Like, he thought he had one over on you with the gun, but that is not seeming to be the case at all.
Take the gun. You want to make more noise? Imagine what that does to your neck. And I just hand him back the crumpled gun.
He just...
Are you going to tell me what you know? Or excuse me, are you going to tell me what you know or not? Because I imagine I got like the tinnitus ring going on. Are you going to write to me or not?
He starts writing something. He reaches out the piece of paper, like he rips it and then hands it out to you.
Pick it up, kind of flip it open. What's it say?
It's an address to a specific area of town in the Six Towers district.
Take that, tuck it in the waistcoat pocket, or the vest pocket. Excuse me. Okay, thank you very much for your time. I hope you have an excellent day, a speedy recovery, and I hope we never have to speak again.
He just nods in agreement, like.
Oh, and you should probably get your window fixed. Have a good one. Walks out, doesn't close the door behind him. Just kind of walks out and starts hauling ass.
Yeah. And I think with all of these scenes, we've now gone over time a little bit, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I think with all of these wonderful, amazing scenes we've seen here, we will call this session to a close.